What is going on, everybody? It is episode 599 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. As you can see, we have special guests. One of them is a returning guest. Hello, Tony Merkel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good, doing well. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm glad to be back.
When was it they were here last? They was here last.
This was 6 months ago, the last time you were on the show. And now we have broken past 100K subscribers. Yeah. So we're podcasters who are taken serily.
That is us. Yeah, that is us. People take us very seriously.
We're kind of big time now,
yeah.
Which means we're on your level.
Oh, shoot. I'm still waiting to break 100,000.
You're
That's
getting
like
there. No, I was
something.
just looking earlier. You're getting there on that. And you're working on, you got a document, or not document, you got a movie coming out.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to be talking about the documentary that you produced with Joel Thomas, who is also here.
How you doing?
Are you?
Good, great.
Glad to
be
have
here.
you.
I have to say when you had the facial, I was watching it because we got a chance to see it. When you have the facial hair where it's just down there, you look like Chuck Liddell.
It's not a bad thing though, because Chuck was pretty beastly back in the day, so it's not a bad reference at all.
Brett said that this morning. I was like, you should tell him that.
I was like, I'm gonna.
Funny thing about the mustache, right? So I was rocking it for a little while. I was going through like an 80s kick, so I was like doing like this. It was the summer of 80s for me, like last year. So I was just rocking a lot of 80s clothing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rock the mustache too. Well, we ended up shooting a film while I had the mustache. Well, we had to reshoot some stuff about 2 months ago, so I had to reshave the beard off because I had let it grow over the winter, and I had to reshave it down to the mustache again, and then I had to shave totally like bald face, and then I had to let it grow back out. So it was like a whole like 2 months of
That's dedication, though.
Yeah,
it's what happened to Henry
dedication
Cavill.
to the craft.
It's what happened to Henry Cavill when they were making Justice League. Henry Cavill was in the middle of doing Mission Impossible, and he had to have this mustache, this big bushy mustache, and it was in his contract that he couldn't shave it off while doing the film because there's no way they can keep continuity if they have to keep waiting for him to grow it back out again. They don't want to put a fake one on him. So when he went and did the fill-in shots, he went and got these pickups for Batman vs Superman. They had to try and CGI this mustache off.
Awful.
It looks awful. Like it looks terrible. Like they're
like he has a milk mustache.
It's worse. It looks like his face is made of Play-Doh because they're like basically they're just superimposing, and it looks really, really bad.
They did him dirty.
And then as soon as that came out, then like hilarious trolls on the internet who are just better at their job went and fixed it for them and just put Warner Brothers to shame. So you just didn't want to have your own Henry Cavill moment.
Well, they tried to fix it, and then when Snyder came out with his version of it, he went to fix it, and it was worse than the guys that fixed it online. So it's like, why didn't they just go get those guys to do it in the first place? Probably could have paid them a lot less too.
They should have just let Superman have the mustache. They should have been like, look, I'm in a Burt Reynolds kick. I've been watching a lot of Tom Selleck movies.
I think that would be groundbreaking for the culture.
Yeah, like he's like, look, I'm like, even Superman loves Magnum PI, and so he grows the mustache. That would be good. That's what I would have done. They would have been able to save a lot of time. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, and share these videos with your friends, because the more people that come in here and hang out, they share them with their friends. Have everybody come in. It's the best way you can help us grow this channel. Remember, all Super Chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will do our best to get back on topic. Perhaps you have questions about cryptids and Bigfoot and Sasquatch and all of these things.
We got answers.
I saw people talking about Slender Man in the chat as well.
Wimbayama.
Yeah, so if you got that, go ahead and Super Chat $20 and over. We'll interrupt the discussion. We'll read it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So what are we getting into today? Well, first things first, there's a movie that's going to be coming out this year. Is it this year or the start of next year? It's this year, right?
I believe it's 2025.
Okay, so
it's called The Juice, and it's portraying O.J. Simpson as innocent.
Yes, it's the alt history version where O.J. Simpson was like, we got Harvey Weinstein gets acquitted for charges, or has a verdict overturned yesterday. Now we're getting an O.J. movie. Where he's going to be portrayed as innocent, and Owen Wilson got invited to be on the movie. He's like, yeah, no thanks, I'm not doing that. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this gentleman named Larry Sanders who killed his friend because he believed he was summoning Bigfoot.
The friend was summoning Bigfoot to like eat him.
Yes. So we're gonna talk like if that's not gonna have a movie made in like less than a year, I don't know what is.
We're already on it.
Like,
we're writing the script
Hollywood
now.
is afraid of it.
Yeah.
They're not going to touch that.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about... Okay, so there was these videos going viral towards the beginning of the week. Matt Walsh got into it. It's from an account from this guy called Hub's Life. I just call him Boring Guy, and I don't say that as a pejorative. It's a good thing. Where he's basically showing these videos about the misery of corporate 9-to-5 laptop jobs because it's boring, which seems awful to people. Personally, I see it and I'm like, that looks like heaven, but that's just me. So we're going to get into it because I was surprised at how vitriolic the comments got about this thing. People have strong opinions on 9-to-5 culture. So we got that. We're going to talk to you guys about your documentary, about everything, about the movie, about everything that's coming out. Again, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're ready, we'll just get right into it. You ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yes, let's go.
Good. All right. Let's go ahead. You guys can make a movie about this one later too. Once this movie comes out. So this is the first poster for the Little Mermaid horror movie that is going to be coming out. Again, all of these fairy tales and Disney projects that have now entered the public domain are being turned into things to give you nightmares.
Well, The Little Mermaid was already public domain. At least the original fairy tale was. It's just funny how they make this one a ginger and they don't race swap this one.
Well, she's blue. She looks more like a Na'vi. She looks more Avatar.
Yeah,
to
I was
me
just
even.
gonna say.
In this one, Eric's friend and mentor, Dr. Ashley, arrives on the island. Ashley uncovers the true identity of Aurora and the dangers of the hidden evil inside Eric's dig site. And yeah, she looks like, you remember the troll fake trailers for the Disney one that came out last year? Where she was a monster. I thought that was a great idea.
I think this is perfect, and the funny thing is the beauty of these movies is they get to be made on like no money, and they make insane amounts of money because it costs nothing to make, and everybody wants to see. Like every adult, guys are like, yeah, hell yeah,
absolutely,
I'll go see that. And you bring your girlfriend, she's like, we're going to see a Little Mermaid movie. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, chick flick tonight. And then he brings her, and she's like,
he's finally getting into the sensitive side.
And she's like, what the hell did you do to me? Like, wouldn't that be hilarious? Like, you got your partner who's just like, you got your girlfriend, she doesn't know anything about it. She's like, oh yeah, we're going to see it's a movie about Winnie the Pooh.
I mean, I thought it was ironic because most of these fairy tales, the original versions of them are pretty dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for Disney movies, they sanitize those, make them kid friendly and not interesting anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
So these are just going back to tradition.
All of the Grimm's fairy tales were like that. That's if you ever watched the show Grimm, was a great example of how they could show that. It was network television, so it's as dark as you can get on network television, but a very, very interesting portrayal of a lot of those fairy tales set in modern times.
I have my son. He's 6 years old, and so with what I do, we talk about things at home. And the one day he was asking me about mermaids, and I was like, well, son, we just posted a reel on Instagram about mermaids, and I pull it up, and I didn't make it. Joel made it. He's the social media manager, and I hadn't looked at it, and I start playing it for my 6-year-old, and we're like, it's breaking down these mermaid things and how there was this sighting and stuff, and all of a sudden Joel puts in this like scary looking mermaid with fangs hanging out, and my son hit his face like, Daddy. He looks at me very serious,
literally like the movie poster.
He's like, Daddy, was that real? I was like, no, man, that wasn't real. I don't know where that came from, man. I texted him. I was like, you got to warn me, man.
Well, actually, you didn't, because I was on your show. We were doing a show with Juan, and we were sitting there, and you called me out on the show. You're like, by the way, don't ever.
You terrorized that child.
He's like, man, I got to raise this kid. What are you doing?
I know. No wonder he has bad dreams.
Yeah, well, there you go. I actually had, I don't remember the whole thing, but I never remember my dreams, almost ever. And I had one the other day. It was just all I remember was it scared the shit out of me, and I was in like a.
You were at a radio show.
I was at a radio show. And I have no idea what happened. I just remember waking up and feeling really disconcerted. And it's like, you ever that feeling where like you wake up from a dream and you can feel it evaporating from your brain? Yeah. Like, and you're not going to remember. The only thing that stuck with me was the radio show part. I don't know why.
We basically have a glorified radio show. So it was about your job.
I was looking at somebody, somebody I follow was doing a radio show that day. And I just remember looking at their studio. I'm like, wow. It's like the cleanest corporate. Like we're literally in an attic.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like wow, look at that. I was like, looks like you could do this and you could eat off the surface of that work desk right there. Let's we don't really have that vibe up here. You could eat off the stuff up here. You just want to sanitize it first.
Did your dream give you anxiety about your own job?
That dream. So I don't know what it was.
We're gonna psychoanalyze you.
Let's not. Well, that would be fun if I actually remembered the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
They do say that if you start trying to write down whatever you do remember, you'll start remembering more of your dreams that way.
But then I'm gonna wake up and I'm not gonna fall.
Who wants to do that? It's
asleep.
like homework for your dreams.
Yeah, like then I'm not gonna fall back.
Too
to
much
sleep.
work.
Yeah.
If it was like if I woke up and it was time to get up for work, maybe I would sit there for 5 minutes and do that. But otherwise,
Are you guys into horror movies?
It depends. Like when it gets down the demonic realm, I don't because it scares me. I'm like that's real, So
Yeah.
But anything like M. Night Shyamalan movie coming out and stuff, things like that. I don't. That's more thriller to me.
Well, speaking of the demonic realm,
Yeah.
Russell Crowe lost a bet.
I saw Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist. That came out last year, though,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It was. What did you think?
This is what I thought. I thought it started out really good. Like I was captivated early on, and then as it got to like the final act, I was kind of like, oh, I was let down at the end. Like it just wasn't. It fed all of my desires in like a horror movie of like exorcism and just when he went into the Catholic Church at the beginning, the Vatican, where he's talking to them and he's pushing back on them about why he needs to keep doing these exorcisms because they were basically gonna cut off that branch of the Vatican, but he goes to this place where all this stuff's happening in this old like castle like house up on this hill and all this stuff's happening, but I saw the way it was building and I was excited, and then I was just super let down like when he got into that bottom cave system.
It became really corny, and it felt like by the end it was like an Exorcist Marvel movie.
There you go. It was all the CGI too. I think that threw me out.
Really, really corny. Didn't really fit the vibe.
He's giving a mea culpa.
So there was The Pope's Exorcist, and literally next year is The Exorcism, and the movie poster is almost identical. What is Russell Crowe doing with his career right now?
That's crazy.
I think he was playing darts with some friends, and they're like, if you lose this game, you got to make a movie about an.
Is he getting typecast
Yeah,
right now? Like as an exorcist?
I like Russell Crowe too.
He's not going to be in Gladiator.
No, he's not.
too.
Unfortunately, he's not in the shape to do Gladiator.
So he's being typecast as a fat old priest forever
that's
now.
not fair. Like, and I was like, I don't know if he was ever after Gladiator, like thought of as like a jacked dude. Like I recently rewatched American Gangster. He's like the shirt's kind of loose. He's just like at the Hawaiian shirt or the button-up shirt on. I don't think he was in like the greatest shape, but he's a great actor.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be. It's like not all these actors today, especially the older ones, need to look like like they're in Marvel movies all the time.
Also, there's a new horror movie coming out, which you sent me, called The Watchers by M. Night Shyamalan's Nepo daughter, Ishana. I'm calling her a Nepo daughter because this is your directorial debut and Dakota Fanning is starring in it. Whatever, that's fine, but I'm not sure it's gonna be great.
Everybody who comes, like every Hollywood child that comes from like famous parents, should just lean into it and be like, yes,
I am privileged.
I'm privileged. Well, they would say that too, though, because that's the point, right? They wouldn't say that they're Nepo privileged. They'd say that they're, I guess she can't say that she's white privileged, but they would acknowledge their class privilege.
Sure. So this is coming out in June, and I want to react to the trailer real quick.
I got this one here.
It's based on a novel.
All right, here we go.
At the end,
That is a lame jump scare.
I felt like the trailer could have been cut down by about half.
Oh yeah,
And,
3 minutes.
Like no mystery. Like there's usually a strong correlation between how much they show in a trailer and how confident they are in it. And they're showing way too much to think that they're actually confident in it. And nobody worked to try to streamline what the theme of the movie was going to be to tell it to you in a minute and a half rather than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Strong cinematography. I mean, the movie's well shot.
Yeah.
It has Hollywood level production, but it just it doesn't interest me.
I looked into the story a little bit. So I guess this enchanted forest is full of changelings or skinwalkers or some kind of shapeshifter creatures. But what are your thoughts on it?
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, he and I are absolutely jacked about it.
So what about it is
there's so much symbolism in that trailer that if it's underwhelming, it's because they didn't dive into the symbolism hard enough to draw out the story with it.
Okay.
But Joel and some of our friends were really doing a lot of deep dives into just this trailer and some of the symbolism, like the radio. When the radio flashes, there's Enochian language that's popping up on the radio, and the Enochian language has like a whole rabbit hole that you can go down. And tell them about some of that stuff, man, because it's kind of crazy. And like there's a real element of, you know, the idea of the Watchers, like that. When you say the Watchers, what I hear is like the rebelled angels, the fallen angels. That's what they're called in the Book of Enoch, the Watchers. Okay. And so like there's that real element to this, and that's where the Enochian language comes from. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because there's a lot of symbolism in it off the rip, and most people know that Hollywood movies have pre-programming and a lot of these things that they give us just to. And again, I give some, you know, creative credence to people that know of these things, that are just doing it for creative license. Like, oh, I'm going to pull from these things from history and create a movie. But I do think there's some predictive programming that goes into some of these films as they put them out there. They want to open your eyes without telling you exactly what it is. And definitely in this film, for sure, it was going on, because as soon as the radio started going off, my eyes lit up, because I know those symbols. And those symbols come from two alchemists back in the 1500s, John Dee and Edward Kelly, who John Dee used to be the personal alchemist for Queen Elizabeth I back then.
We're talking about these symbols right here?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So what these two alchemists did, they worked together, and Edward Kelly was a scryer, and for easy purpose for people to understand what scrying is, it's using a tool to get knowledge from something from the other side. So he actually used a legit magic crystal ball to scry with, but he would speak in tongues, and when he did, he would put down these symbols, and these symbols were an alphabet called the angelic language, which eventually, when Aleister Crowley came out, they repurposed it and called it the Enochian language from the Book of Enoch, as these angels were given this language. So these symbols that are popping up in that radio when it starts fritzing out are legitimately from that alphabet from the 1500s. And those symbols, when they map out, because I was talking to a lady that I know that digs deep into this earlier today, she said they actually correlate to heritage of the Watchers and the dawning of the new age of man, which essentially, there's a scene in that trailer where you see a hand come out and you see 5 fingers, but it's missing the thumb. Mm-hmm. It's a 6-fingered hand, which ties into these Nephilim, which, according to the Book of Enoch, when the Watchers had sexual relations with the women, they created these giants. So this is all tying into this film, because you've got a woman, Dakota Fanning, at the beginning. If you notice, they play into the fact she puts on a wig. She's going down hunting men at night. So maybe they're playing to a part. Maybe she's a prostitute. Maybe she's into, at the very least, a promiscuous lifestyle. So then she goes out there, gets lost in the woods, and then they're now trapped in this, house or whatever in the woods, where they're forced to look out of this window where these creatures, and they even say in the trailer, they're not from here, they're from another place, and what are they doing with the people in the woods? That fascinated me off the rip when I saw it, because I hit him up, I sent him the trailer, and he's like, what? So for us, being junkies of this type of thing, that feeds at least our desire to watch the film. It may suck.
So that's the thing. Like, so what you were saying, I mean, we would be severely disappointed in the movie if it doesn't go deeper into these things. Like, even like not like on an in your face level, but if we're not sitting there like, oh, there's that.
Yeah, like one thing Hollywood does do very, very well is they work very hard in the background to get the imagery right for what's going, for your secondary objects and everything. They're going to fill it with the writings on the wall, with the things that are in the background, everything. That stuff they do really, really well. It's why Marvel is so obsessed with Easter eggs, because they get to use that to their advantage. But very rarely, it's like when you see something on a movie set, that didn't get there by accident. That's there for a reason. Yeah. Like that serves a purpose no matter what you think it is. It's why when people would point out, like, when you'd say, like, look at these books, the best way you can look at it is you'll know a lot of what somebody thinks about, like, a set designer or the production designer by what books they put on the background of shelves. in the background of movies, right? Because some will do it to tell you about the character. Like if it's a romantic comedy and the woman's reads feminist literature, that's one thing. But depending on the type of movie you're watching, you'll see a lot of symbolism based on the type of writing that's there.
Absolutely.
Well, when you said predictive programming, what is your theory of the predictive programming in a movie like this?
Well, in my opinion, they're predictive programming you for things they want to reveal to you in the future. Now, what that exactly means is up for debate. Depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go on this. At least I've taught myself over the years, I don't live in that rabbit hole. Yeah. I enjoy it a lot, and I talk about it a lot. How this shakes out in the end, I have no idea. I just hope to live a good life and connect to people.
You visit the rabbit hole, but you don't have property.
Yeah, I'm not trying to have property there because people that have property there, they scare us, and we talk about the rabbit hole all the time. But it's like there's a level of enjoying, all of these things and just theorizing, but then there's this point to where that stuff controls your everyday life to where you don't live a full life and you don't connect to people in the real world.
I think that's one of the dangerous things about because there's literally so much content that can be had nowadays that if you don't learn to balance like what you consume as media, because it is still media, it's still entertainment to a specific level, right? You can inform, you can do these things to open people's eyes to stuff, but it's still entertainment at the end of the day, and there does have to be a balance of that, I think.
Absolutely.
I wonder if she's going to lean into if there's going to be a twist.
Oh, there's going to be a twist.
And no, the twist should be there's no twist.
Well, I know there's going to be a twist because I was looking at some reviews of the novel that were like trashing the novel for being really poorly written.
Really?
And they said that the twist was super obvious and lame and predictable. So there's going to be a twist.
The thing is, though, is like a good writer should be able to make it so that either there isn't a twist and the journey is what's important. It's
right.
Like the movies like The Sixth Sense suffer hard from not having rewatch value because you know what happens, and after you watch it, you don't really need to see it a second time. He did do Unbreakable, and then he did Split.
What is your favorite M. Night Shyamalan film?
Unbreakable.
Yours?
Devil.
And what was yours?
Sixth Sense, I think.
So mine is probably, he hates mine.
Actually,
I love The Village. I absolutely love The Village.
Oh, I forgot to mention that too. Yes.
You know why I love The Village so much? Well, he hates it for the opposite reason I love it.
So I hate the ending. The movie was freaking awesome until the ending.
He had in his mind that it was going to build to these like monsters.
Do you hate it that it's like demystifying?
Yeah, I wanted to be the monsters.
I think most people do. Right?
Yeah.
I think most people do. And
but maybe there's like a twist after the twist where it's like, actually, there are monsters. But
that's why I have my company, because I'm trying to show the world, yes, there are really monsters out there.
Twist after twist, though, then it feels like a retcon. Yeah. Like if you go back to it, it's kind of like the trope in movies and television. It's like you watch a whole series and at the end it's like, and then he woke up. Everybody hates that.
Yeah.
Like everybody hates that. So
yeah.
We'll
another thing everybody hates is having a pee stain on your jeans.
Well, I mean, not everybody apparently. Because apparently you can pay money for that now.
There is now pee-stained denim jeans.
Liam Neeson is pumped about this.
I know.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Liam Neeson, he's like known at this point for peeing himself in public. It's almost like he's doing it on purpose by now, but he's going to love these. He needs to wear these to hide the fact that he's peeing himself all the time.
I think somebody who has a small bladder in the fashion industry made these so that they can go to parties and just...
Because representation matters.
I'm shocked it's not Ye that put them out, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I am too.
Look, somebody's like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. I'm like, people buy pants with holes in the knees.
Okay, but here's something that's more ridiculous. There is now over-the-shoulder underwear. You can wear a giant pair of underwear as a shirt. Yeah.
Wow.
Show the model. Wait, maybe it's too like NSFW to show the shirt on the model. But yeah, it's just a giant thong that is hanging over your shoulders.
I've been seeing like ads for like guys. It's basically a onesie. It's a hoodie and pants, and it's got like the side zip, and you pull it on like you're putting on a hazmat suit. And I guess the idea is like you can't like pull the hoodie up over the top because it's all one piece. And I'm like, who's getting, like, imagine you're in that and then you're just like, wow, it's like you just live somewhere where it gets warmer in the afternoon and you're like, crap, I can't take my top off because I'm literally wearing a onesie.
Yeah, since you mentioned Ye, also, we wanted to mention a new update in the development of his porn studio, YZY Corn brand. We have a new comment from Stormy Daniels' ex-husband, who has been in the porn business for a long time. He says it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen before.
I don't know if that's actually possible.
Because we've seen it all. I've been having discussions with Ye about a potential collab between YZY brand and my team at Vixen Media Group. While it's too early to give any details, I'm excited about where Ye's vision takes this. The idea that this project is going to be another porn studio is not correct. It will be like nothing we've ever seen before.
So it's going to be like, remember when he did the, he went to like a meeting with like Adidas and like made them watch porn at the meeting? That was where he was actually getting his ideas at the time. He was asking the guys at Adidas, he's like, look.
Well, it's like a sign of dominance, right? Like, I'm going to force you to watch this.
I think it's funnier if he was going to them, he's like, look, you're a middle-aged guy. Your wife's probably not interested in you anymore. Like, what do you watch? And he was actually just surveying the people.
Market research.
I know. All this time, it was a brilliant plan from day one.
And they're like, so how does this relate to shoes?
He's like, it's like future venture. I'm not going to necessarily ask you for venture capital. I don't know if Adidas wants to get in the porn business, but I'm sure you're on the board of some company that would probably, you know, it's like investment capital, LLC, that you work for, you know, that you make side income off of. Maybe they want to get in the porn business. And he was just asking the middle-aged, you know, CFO, C-suite demographic, what do you watch because your wife doesn't touch you anymore? That's what he was asking me.
She finds you disgusting.
Yeah. He's like, which is odd because then it becomes a self-perpetuating problem, right? Just like, she finds you disgusting, you watch porn, which makes her find you more disgusting, and then he's now trapped you, and you'll never get out.
How do you guys feel about the trajectory that EA is on right now?
He's a fake Christian. So Joel and I have had conversations about Ye for years, and the guy is just showing his true colors, and you know, I think it was kind of predictable.
I think I'm a little different than Tony in the sense of I think that he's constantly battling in his head like what he wants to do, but I also think he's got a lot of people around him that control what he does too, because you know he's got this.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's just they just don't know how to tell him this is a bad idea in a way that will make him listen?
Partially, but I can say too that if you notice with his new wife, I mean, she is this daughter of one of the biggest mobsters to come out of Australia, and
Didn't know there were such a thing.
Yeah, I know.
An Australian
mobster?
Yeah,
I never heard about this. So who is this?
That makes sense, though. I mean, just considering the history of Australia, how so many people were sent there just as like an island prison.
Is this because of the penal colony stuff? Okay, that seems.
Wait, so his father-in-law is an ex-mobster.
Yeah, so Leo Sensory is his name, and
he's literally the guy who comes up to mwah, mwah.
Yeah, literally. And he's talked about in a lot of UK tabloids, like over the years, even her uncle is big time in this mafia that they built in Australia. So crazy enough, she gets, you know, into what she does as an architect and ends up working for Ye, and then
should have been in waste management.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been far more on brand.
It's so crazy, but it seems to me that a lot of times, and we're talking about programming, I won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but we'll just say that Kanye seems to have these swings where he almost changes into a different person, and it seems to be a new person attached to him when these things happen. And when she came along, he kind of started changing back into, or even a worse version of what he was before. And it doesn't shock me at all that he's going down this porn route, because what else was there? You know what I mean? He's done pretty much everything else. Why not porn at this point? It wasn't a shocker. It's sad, though, because the guy's super talented, and it's like he could use his talents for something that would be beneficial to society, but clearly he finds himself constantly trapped in these places of he just can't get out. And I don't know the answer to that. You know, we all hope that the guy finds some sort of redemption at some point in his life.
So Tony, you just think that he was planning this longer than people know? He was planning to bait and switch people with his public conversion?
No, I know he's a very conflicted individual. It's very clear. It's there's been things that he's done over the years that have put me on pause. Because like when he first came out and started claiming Christ, and he came with his first album, which was awful as a Christian album. Like I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, all right, cool. And I'm just kind of observing. And then he would say certain things, do certain things, started hanging out with some old crowd people. And I started thinking, okay, where's this going? And then you just started seeing even like I think we all saw it right here in this building, the unraveling. There's a psychological unraveling. What he's talking about, like Ye clearly has handlers. I mean, a lot of these people do. And the people that you're surrounded by that are handling the situations around you.
Damn it, Harley Pasternak.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it possible? Maybe it's naive, but isn't it possible that rather than fake Christian, it's just that he's not living up to. He's manic and he's not living up to ideals he set for himself?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I say fake Christian because so I'm more. Maybe that's the wrong terminology. I'm frustrated with the backlash that this is going to have on people who followed Ye and down this spiritual route and what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think he even claims the Christian label anymore.
No,
after
he doesn't.
You call yourself the new Jesus, you call yourself God, and
well, he said that he tried Jesus and Jesus didn't do anything for him.
right.
Like I'm like,
maybe he wasn't coming at it from the right angle to begin with.
yeah.
That's clear.
Yeah.
I mean, was he a Christian to begin with? I don't know.
And this is why so many, like what was going on with the Nala situation, like so many people tend to be skeptical when you make a public spectacle of your journey.
But it's interesting because I feel like all of the people, not all of the people, some of the people who like bought into Kanye's, I guess, rebrand the hardest were the ones who were the most skeptical of Nala. Were you guys paying attention to that story?
Absolutely.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
The
OnlyFans model.
OnlyFans model
Oh,
who
yeah.
converted to
about this.
Christianity.
Yep.
Yeah, it's ironic, but we hope for his redemption arc.
I
after
really
all.
just feel that a lot of it is like you have a manic individual with a lot of money and capital who can make a lot of things. Like,
You think Milo Yiannopoulos is his new Harley Pasternak?
Oof.
Is that in the cards? Because I know
Possible.
he's still in there. He's still in.
Yeah.
Like he's still managing. I guess what you would call Ye 24 or whatever that means now.
Is that really still?
He's
a thing?
still there. Well, I don't know if the campaign obviously is not there, but like Milo is still working for him.
Yeah.
Kanye, if you're watching, Jail Part 2 is still an amazing song, so it's fine.
Kanye's definitely
artist,
watching.
right?
Also, another interesting redemption arc is John Hinckley Jr. He's
Not
just
the segue I thought we were going to get to.
He's struggling to get his folk music career off the ground right now.
It's weird. You'd think in this climate we live in these days, he should have like a built-in audience right now.
I think Failed Assassin should be the new failed musician.
Failed Assassin should be what his name. He shouldn't be going by John Hinckley Jr. He should be Failed Assassin. That should be the name of his band.
Guys, John Hinckley Jr., if you're watching, we will happily do PR for you.
I would happily have him on the show to talk about it.
Well, he had this gig that was shut down last month, right? And he said it's because he's a victim of cancel culture.
That happens when you try to murder someone.
Yeah. But now he's canceled the next gig, which was supposed to be in Manhattan, because he said that it is a crime-filled cesspool.
It's like when OJ was like, I don't like coming to LA because I don't know if the guy who killed Nicole was there.
Yeah.
John Hinckley Jr. has very strong political beliefs, obviously. He said, I'm afraid of New York City and I don't want to go there now. It's a dangerous mess and it has bad vibes.
He should start a band called the Reagan Era.
That would be great.
That would be a great band name.
I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of hipsters going to his gig, right? They're really disappointed right now.
I have to imagine that a lot of them are like, oh,
the
we gotta
Lower
go to
East
this
Side.
show. Are hipsters still around? I still maintain that hipsters died when none of them would wear MAGA hats, ironically.
I think they're the post-liberals now.
I mean, but
The dirtbag leftists.
Is that me? Am I the post? Am I just a
No,
regular liberal
the
then?
guys who like really were like going hard for Bernie Sanders, and like now they're the post-liberals. I'm sure they would
probably
love
that
John
niche
Hinckley
right
Jr.
now,
Yeah, like he should. He there could be some killer set design for this dude.
Yeah.
Like there could be some great merch ideas that could be made for this guy. That would be
Unfortunately,
fantastic.
in this cancel culture world, that just won't be possible.
Look, in
Cancel culture strikes again.
I'm picturing like he's so he's walking out with his guitar and they're putting up like a canceled sign, and then like Harvey Weinstein is walking out of the courthouse right across the street, you know, because he just had his case overturned in New York City, and Daniel Penny is being walked to jail as this is happening. That's New York for you.
Cancel culture, am I right?
It is. It's all cancel culture's fault. All right, guys.
This is a wholesome story.
I said that this is as close to a modern day love story as you can get. This is the most if there was a modern day love story that Disney should buy into and make a movie out of, it's this. This woman is marrying her GrubHub driver.
She said it was love at first knock.
It should have been love at first bite.
Oh.
Come on.
Yeah.
These people.
Yeah.
Think about branding.
It's like not naming the Heat sequel, the Heat prequel, Preheat.
Why is GrubHub giving them money though?
Great marketing for them, I guess, right? So it says, Hannah Bullerman was only expecting fried pickles and chicken wings at her doorstep, but love rang instead.
Wow.
In the form of a kind-eyed GrubHub driver. They're even writing the trailer here for this right now.
It was so unlike me. I still can't believe I did it. But it was just such a visceral feeling in my stomach. He had very kind eyes.
Many, many women have met unfortunate ends with that criteria in the world, I think.
Well, it worked out for her. So.
It worked out for her, but I'm just saying, like, she let him deliver, but then she like sent him a return text and complimented him. She made the first move.
Ladies, learn a lesson from this.
Shoot your shot? Is that what you're
Shoot
saying?
your shot, ladies. Shoot your shot, queens.
Look, it says, my friend told me you can't just wait for someone to come to you, she said. He said, told the outlet, well, now I've got a great woman. So he literally let her come to him. He just delivered her food. Says she was an x-ray tech at a local hospital, was homesick with a migraine on the day of the initial meeting and placed a GrubHub order of fried pickles, chicken wings. I don't know if that's going to help with a migraine.
Guilty pleasure, maybe?
In applesauce. It says, looking kind of grubby and gross due to being sick, Bullerman was kind of stalking the driver's moves on the app while waiting for her food to arrive. It's like the meme where the guy's like looking out the window waiting for his food to arrive. I always play it cool when food arrives. I don't wait by the window for that.
You wait for them to knock. Like, I didn't know you were here.
Wow,
Hardly hungry.
I'm so busy, I forgot I ordered. Yeah. It says, it was right when she could sneak down to the lobby in her pajamas and quickly grab the food once the driver... Yeah, so she was like trying to do the thing where she's like making sure he's gone. And it says, but in a twist of fate, the driver began to call her rather than just dropping it off. Says he wants to give it to me in person. And now look at him. So wait, they must be from Minnesota because they're wearing Minnesota Wild jerseys. So of course this would happen in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A hometown story for
It
you.
is.
But yeah, he appreciated her boldness in making the first move, and 10 out of 10.
Good for them. I say they should make a movie about this.
They won't.
They should make this. This could absolutely have a movie.
It's too wholesome.
This could be like the next You Got Mail.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's actually perfect. What would what would it be called? It's got to. You have to come up with some type of pun related to the app.
Grub love.
Okay, so that sounds something more like Kanye West film industry now.
Yes, it does. I wonder how much she tipped. Think she tipped well?
Yeah.
She tipped well.
Yeah.
He's like, I like the idea that she sends him the compliment, but gave him like a 10%, like a shitty tip. Like he's like, look, she's really, really nice, but she's cheap.
At least you won't be spending my money, right?
I love a frugal woman. That's what he said.
Somebody says Sleepless in Sheboygan. Well, Sheboygan is in what is that? It's not Minnesota though. I know that. Is that?
I had a friend from Sheboygan.
Wisconsin or
Yeah.
Idaho?
Yeah, it's
Sheboygan,
Wisconsin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know that's what it could be.
Beautiful.
I'm expecting a lot more of this, seeing as how people aren't really going out and meeting each other in the real world anymore. You're gonna have to. What GrubHub should do is just make it a dating app too.
Well, if you're single, delete Tinder, download GrubHub, and you might find your soulmate.
We have a community section on my app, and people have the ability to direct message each other.
Oh.
And there's been podcasts that have been formed because they meet each other on my app, and they decide to start podcasts. And they're
That's
like,
awesome.
it's kind of like a dating app. And I'm like, oh,
Have
well.
people started dating from that
I just hope.
feature?
I don't know. I kind of don't want to know.
Do you know?
Yeah, I do, because I was logged in a few weeks ago, and so Tony made a statement on his podcast where he said, I've done the numbers. I know it's more guys listening to my show than women.
Yeah.
Kind of did that. Well, I guess it really got the women that listen to the show all jacked up. Like, no, we listen. And it was just a string of women. And then they were saying, we're just looking for those men that think like us. So it's this whole thing like going on. I was like, dude, you just need like a branch off and call it like the Confessionals dating app.
And their DMs were flooded.
I'm sure.
And they can have actual confessionals talking about how it worked out for them.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh man, I should start a new section on the app for dating.
You're bringing people together.
I am. I'm bringing it all together.
Like interests are important.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me that men are more into like cryptids and stuff like that.
All the more reason to find the location where the women who are into it
Right.
You can't go to the local bar and start asking.
They go for their first date in the woods.
I never thought about it. I was talking to a Spotify guy who was telling me my stats and stuff, and I was stunned by it. And then I just kind of thinking about it. I'm thinking, okay, so the topics that I cover make sense, and then like on my show, I kind of get more hype, and I'm more comfortable, and I just kind of I say things that I think sometimes can be perceived as like toxic, and so I think that kind of
like what?
I don't know anything offhand. I don't have anything example. It's just
You don't seem like a toxic guy.
I don't
toxic stuff all the time.
You seem like a very nice man.
I am nice. It's just when I get hype about something, I kind of go with a lot of energy, and I think it can kind of come across too aggressive.
Maybe women wouldn't like that.
That's what I think, but I don't know. I've been married for 17 years, been with my wife for 20 years. Like, I have no clue what women want these days.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Apparently there were a lot of women, though, that were talking about that we're here. That's what they said. We're here, see us, is literally what I saw.
We are here in numbers.
Yeah. But it's just cryptids using sock accounts.
Yeah.
Come meet me in the middle of the woods.
They got the picture of them of her. She's doing this.
This is my ultimate ick. When in the proposal photos or the videos, the woman always goes like,
and right after that, she goes, yes, yes, a million times yes.
The hand over the mouth, like, it just pisses me off. I don't even know why.
So
I never thought about that.
Like, someday Mary's going to get proposed. She's like,
literally handcuff me.
Like, she put her hand, or you're going to do it, and you're going to be like, fuck.
Yeah,
because it is going to be shocking.
Knowing my luck, I'm going to do it.
You're gonna, there's going to be a photographer there, and then the evidence will exist forever.
Damn
oh my
it.
gosh.
It'll be used against you. Like, anytime you...
Not that yes, a million times yes.
Yes.
So I'm not going to do that.
You'll at least have control over that one. That one will be good. Okay, guys. It is time to... we're going to go back in time a little bit. I don't know the general age of everyone here, but if you're older like I am, you remember MySpace.
Yes.
Well, MySpace is going to be making a comeback thanks to Gen Z with their own version of this app called... No Space.
Yeah, Gen Z has attempted multiple times to bring back MySpace.
They had their own kind of they brought back like dumb phones, like they really like dumb phones, flip phones and things like that. The ones who, I guess that would be like tech hipsters in their generation who don't want to be connected.
I think those are becoming more popular though.
Yeah. I'm very interested in that.
This is like a research. Like, I'm gonna learn HTML. I'm gonna make my own background. I'm gonna have like the graphics and everything. I have a top 8 list. To this day, top 8 list is the most toxic thing that's ever come out of social media. I don't care what anyone says. You got like all your friends, and you're like, why don't you rank the people you love in your life? And then let everyone know who you like the most. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine like you have like a family MySpace, and like you have like your top 8 children. You have your top 4 children.
You rank your grandchildren on Facebook.
Brian, he went to college first. He got a good job. He played college hockey. Like, we love him. Kyle, community college, like, got into some trouble with the law when he was in high school, like GED. 3rd or 4th.
But as I'm looking at this, like, screenshots from the app, it really doesn't resemble MySpace. No. It doesn't look like the same vibe at all because it's supposed to be used on an iPhone, which obviously didn't exist.
It should only be allowed to be used on like old Dell computers that have been destroyed by LimeWire.
Yeah, but there's a 380,000 person wait list. Everyone on it is just going to use this app for like a week and give up.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's going to fly right down there. It's like, I'm going to have it on my phone, and it'll be right next to Truth Social. And both will get exactly 0 use.
Well, when you were on MySpace, wait, were you guys on MySpace?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes? Yeah. Okay. when you were on there, did you notice that like millennials acted differently on MySpace than on Facebook? Like Facebook is where your family members are watching you. MySpace is more like Wild West.
You could definitely create a persona on MySpace.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Were either
Twitter's
of
the
you
same
emo?
huh? Emo?
No.
No.
When Brett was talking about just learn HTML, I mean, you could like make that page something awesome. Like,
Yep.
you know, you could
Yeah.
do everything to it. So
Well, the kids these days, they don't want to put in the work.
Yeah,
that
they just
too.
want the app to do it for them.
Right.
They've got no heart.
Here's the issue, though. If the app was to take off, how long before here come the sponsors and the ads and everything, and it just turns into something exactly like what you're already mad about right now?
Instagram threads.
Right?
There should just be a social media platform called Sequential where they promise you nothing but a sequential timeline.
That would be great.
That's
Because literally no app has that now.
No, none at all.
Everything sucks now.
Everybody right now is dusting off their Devil's Lock haircut and figuring out what emo songs they're going to put on their page.
Well, that's like something Instagram should have done years ago, is have you like play a song on your page.
Yeah.
Millennials would love that.
The I'm picturing all of the Death Cab for Cutie songs that will be used once again.
Yeah.
Which haven't been listened to in years. I just saw this really funny tweet the other day where somebody pointed out that like I Will Follow You Into the Dark lost out on like best song of the year to My Humps.
I saw that too. I also recently saw a thread about Tom, MySpace Tom, and I'm kind of worried about him. From what they've said here, he's just been disappearing at random. I mean, I understand when you've got like a net worth of 500 million, you can do whatever you want.
Probably
That's fine.
more because they said he got into investing in real estate and stuff like that. Like this dude's doing fine.
But they said Tom disappeared again. His last Instagram post was in 2018. He did an interview with Ty Lopez in 2019, and he wrote one post on Meta's Threads app. And other than that, he's been completely silenced.
Because he works as a photographer. He's like he does like travel photography.
But
That's his
there,
thing.
no one knows if he still does that anyway. And this one post he made on Threads was about ketamine.
Yeah.
The first time you make a post in like 4 years is about ketamine therapy. I don't know. I'm just worried about this guy.
It's the Jack Dorsey route.
He said this was his post, and then radio silence since then. Did you know ketamine can be administered by a doctor or nurse as a therapeutic treatment for depression, anxiety, or PTSD? What do you think? / what's your general attitude?
Sounds like he was paid to write that.
Yeah,
I love that he
maybe.
still uses the MySpace photo of him.
The same
in all
photo.
his social media. Like what he should do is he should have that photo, like you know how they use like the age progression software where they just age progress that exact photo and every year he does a minor update to it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's an important reason why Gen Z isn't able to recreate MySpace, because you can't recreate the culture in which MySpace existed. Gen Z is just too sensitive for that.
But it was the first instance of just that dopamine hit that everybody is now addicted to. You come home from work or school, you log on to your stupid computer, new blog post comments, new friend requests, all in different colors, like drugs, like literally like capsules, and it's just flooding your brain.
That's
Yeah.
what they were testing it there. You know, what color of the bubble is going to get people to hit more?
Yeah, it
Now everybody
was.
uses red.
And now it's just worse. It's the same thing, and it's just gotten worse over time. And the probably the most awful aspect is like at least back then they were getting you addicted to dopamine, and you didn't have to look at ads. Now you have to look at ads while getting addicted to dopamine. Now I have to look at targeted Instagram ads while being addicted to my phone, and that just seems unfair.
Well, I don't even scroll Instagram now because the timeline is just trash. And X is turning the same way.
The
It's covered in
the other
spam.
funny thing about Tom being a photographer, you know that anybody here baseball fans or ever watch baseball or anything like that?
No,
Yeah.
Randy Johnson, pitcher
Yeah.
for the Twins, became a professional photographer after.
They didn't know
I did
that.
see that, yeah.
And so he's very famous for throwing like a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that just drilled a bird and killed it.
Exploded.
And his logo for his photography company is the bird being hit by the ball.
No.
And Ken Griffey Jr., also shooting sports photographer.
That's wild.
Yeah. They're just like, look,
Interesting.
I made millions of dollars. I've got nothing to do. Like, I don't want to coach. That would be too cliche. Like, I think Griffey does end up coaching like the U.S. team or something like that. But they just go into photography. It's great.
It's wild.
He went to Burning Man and then just disappeared.
I do miss the again. I still think the top 8 list was the most toxic thing you could have possibly. I think they expanded it to 16 at one point. I'm like, imagine being 16, like the hanger-oner who gets stuck at number 16 on somebody's like top 16 list.
That must feel worse than not being included.
Yeah, dude. It was those were different.
We should have a top 8 list for our super chatters. Make them compete to get in the top 8.
We could do that. We like make like a. Actually, Shane H. Wilder could probably make us like a replica of like the top 8 list, and then put like the top 8 people from the chat down.
Well, obviously Shane H. Wilder would be number 1.
He would be like, wait, does that make you and me the Tom from MySpace?
Yes.
We're your first friends no matter what. Like we just are automatically included there. And then MySpace had a phone app. You know, you
Did they really?
Yeah.
Well, it just turned into like a music library.
Music platform.
But then they accidentally deleted like huge amounts of the music that was posted on the platform. Literally worse than the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Like
a lot of people like found a lot of music because of MySpace back in the day. Though. I mean that
now they just find it on
TikTok.
TikTok. Kids these days.
That's what they should do. They should sell TikTok to the people that sold MySpace. I think actually Fox bought MySpace.
Oh, I thought it was Microsoft.
It was a company called News Corp, which was owned by Fox or owned Fox as well. Or, you know, these are all like subsidiary of subsidiary of subsidiary.
I'm shocked.
And they bought it for like however many hundreds of millions of dollars and ended up selling it for 32.
Right.
Like just a year later.
I'm pretty sure wasn't Timberlake an owner at one point?
Oh, maybe.
Justin Timberlake?
I don't know. That would be interesting. It's
I'm pretty sure he was.
well, he's not a good investor. Don't take investment ideas from Justin. You mean Justin Timberlake?
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought.
Don't take your investment advice from Justin Timberlake. That's not a good idea. All right, guys. Let's so just go ahead and sign up for that. But you're going to be on a waiting list. I can't tell you it's going to be all that great. Just go on Truth Social. You'll have equally as few people looking at what you say.
Truth Social is the MySpace of 2024.
It really is. All right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's go with cringe.
Cringe first? All right. We'll start with cringe of the day.
This one is really bad, guys.
All right.
I chose it, and I'm sorry in
if
advance.
Mary has showed us a lot of really cringy stuff. I don't know if she's ever given me this much of like a warning in advance.
I always tell you, just don't watch it.
I'm fairly terrified about this, so let's go ahead and listen.
Have you heard of Bluey? It's Australian.
Is it the dog
cartoon?
show?
Dog show?
I put it on for my dog when I leave.
The dog dad, I would fucking fuck his brains out. The dog dad, he's funny, he's kind, he's smart.
He's a dog?
I have never, yes,
Okay.
he's a dog, and I have never been more attracted to anybody in my life.
Really?
And it is a cartoon dog.
Bandit?
Oh, he's such a good dad.
He looks like a dog version of Phil Dunphy.
I've masturbated to him.
Really?
I have masturbated to him.
Like, I'm so curious though. Is he a cartoon?
He's a cartoon.
Were you imagining you two together? Were you just reading to his
I
personality?
was reading to him. You have to hear his voice though. I was also reading to his voice. Have you heard of Bluey? It's
Yeah.
Women
are unhinged.
If this woman has an actual dog, I implore you to check and see where her peanut butter jars are.
We need a wellness check on that dog
If
immediately.
there is a peanut butter jar anywhere but in the kitchen, somebody should come and pick that dog up.
Yeah, animal control just needs to be there now.
Yeah.
Right away.
Okay, well, thank you. That's my day.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, let's timeline cleanse then. Oddly enough, with a dog.
Okay, here's our cue to the
Not
day.
Bluey. This is from Devin. Says, this is Nyx, the shop dog at one of the distributors in my town. She's always has some cardboard with her. Oh.
Cute.
Very cute. It's a little bit difficult now, given what we just watched, but it's still cute.
We're trying to erase it from our memory, okay?
That's not doing
One
it.
more here. This is Odie, the border collie, Mocha, the golden doodle, and Greg, the one-eyed one-eared wonder.
Okay, so we have another mocha.
Ugh. Well, that's not this. That's.
Aww.
Aww.
Cute. Cute. That's like a selfie.
It's not. It does. No, it's what is it? The one with Tim. It says like, you have any games on here?
Yeah, that's the dog version of have any games on your phone.
Yes. All right. Those are very cute. Just whatever that lady did before, not that.
Oh.
All right, guys. Now that we're 57 minutes into the show. Mary, why don't you tell us what the hell is going on with this O.J. Simpson movie?
Yeah. Just in time to memorialize O.J. Simpson, Hollywood is producing a movie about him in which he is depicted as innocent. It's called The Juice, and it depicts him as innocent of murder, released later this year. Owen Wilson was offered the role of the attorney Douglas McCann, but he told the director, if you think I'm going to take the lead role in a movie about how OJ didn't do it, you've got to be kidding me. But he was thinking about it. I'm sure he considered it.
He's working enough that he doesn't have to worry. This isn't one of those instances like where your career is floundering and you're like, look, I'll just take whatever.
Like
I
Nick
can
Cage
get.
back in the day.
Well, and like his was because he was so down and out on his taxes because Nicolas Cage is of course a tax hero. We celebrate tax heroes at this podcast, but he was behind on his taxes and he had to take whatever movies he could do to pay those off.
So I sent you the link to the teaser trailer if we can react to that. It's a little bit disturbing, so trigger warning.
What do you think came first? I guess the production of the movie before he passed away.
I'm sure they might have been planning it for that moment, like when his death is announced, they're gonna announce the movie in like a tasteful 2-month waiting period. Actually, it's been like 2 weeks. Never mind.
No, that's not true. Like, look, when Astroworld happened, there was an Astroworld doc done like that weekend.
Yes.
Now that seems planned.
Hulu is just like, get the editors on it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see.
Okay.
Make sure that we're on. Slack is pulled up there. There we go. And there. Here we go.
Think of the real OJ. The lost person.
Feel better now? You haven't seen anything yet. Yeah.
I mean,
so
maybe the reason Owen Wilson said no is he saw that trailer and he's like, that CGI.
It's a good choice for the actor, though.
Yes, he is a more handsome version of OJ.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just going to point this out before we move on. I keep looking at the pictures of him with the gloves on. They look like they fit just fine. You ever looked at it?
That was a Mandela effect.
It really
right
is. He puts us like, they don't fit. I'm like, they look like they fit just fine. What are you talking about?
So Douglas McCann, a street-smart LA attorney, risks everything when conspiracy theorists draw him into the divisive O.J. Simpson saga in this satirical thriller. So it is satire of O.J. being innocent, granted. But I went to the website, and they're asking for fans to put in like their ideas for how they want to see OJ die and stuff like that. Like, it's literally a Google Doc where it's a survey. You put in your ideas for the movie. I guess they're not done making it yet.
I love the idea that what it is OJ just keeps bumbling into this scene and everything's happening right before he gets there. So he gets there and she's on the ground like, what the hell? And he touches everything at the crime scene because he just doesn't get that you're not supposed to do that. And he's just driving away and the stereo in the Bronco is really loud. He's like, why is everybody behind me? Look, those red lights are really distracting. Like, and it's kind of just like,
he's in his own world.
Yeah. Like, CTE, football, it's possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's got to be some serious money behind this, though, because in order to offer Owen Wilson $12 million, like, there's some money behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Predictive programming. They want to get out ahead of it because in 30 years, people are just going to believe that the dude is innocent.
Well, the conspiracy theory's been going back around here recently that it was actually his son that went over there and did it. So that just popped back up in. I saw it all over X and everything again. I'm like, man, that was a while back when they were talking about that.
And that he was that OJ is actually covering up for him. Which is people were pointing out, I was like, wouldn't it be wild that everyone thinks he's literally the worst dad in the world? Now that would actually make him like the best dad in the world, just a misguided the best.
Right.
That's their phrasing, not mine. But they're saying, like, at the very least, selfless and something you could understand.
Okay,
right?
Sure. So this is coming out October 3rd, 2025, the 30th anniversary of Simpson's not guilty verdict.
I love that, like, also setting it around dates of those. So they sold the Bronco recently, right after he died on the anniversary of it all happening, all planned. They're like, we were gonna wait, they said we were gonna wait until the 30th anniversary to sell it, but we decided with him dying that the value of it will never be so high, we're just gonna sell it now. And I just love the idea that that thing just sat in a garage somewhere You know, probably not a garage. It probably sat in like a storage room. You know, perfectly climate controlled. They're like, look, the blood stains on the seat are exactly as we found them. Like none of it's coagulated at all. It's still got that deep red to it. It hasn't turned orange yet.
Wow. Who bought it?
I don't know who sold it. I think it's ended up selling for like 1.5 million or something like that.
It was like Elon.
There's a huge like cottage industry for death memorabilia, for celebrity death. What was it like? The plane, but was it Buddy Holly who died in a plane crash? Right? Like that, like the parts of that plane were sold off for like large amounts and things like that. So a lot of money to be made in the macabre.
Right. There's a lot of money to be made in true crime specifically.
As we know, right? Like with true crime being as popular as it is now.
I mean, even when I was like this case was probably our first sense of true crime. I mean, I was in elementary school sitting in the cafeteria watching the OJ trial as a little kid because everybody just wanted to watch it, so the teachers would put it on. And
That's
we
crazy,
were
though.
we were watching the OJ trial. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this guy killed somebody. I guess I don't know, but
Parents were just like cool with that.
it was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
The picture that they
We say that a lot, don't we?
The picture they used for Owen Wilson it's the most Owen Wilson picture you've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's literally doing
With his lips pursed like
dog
that.
face.
Yeah. They said of the meeting in Santa Monica, everybody loved the script. Owen Wilson's agent wanted him to do it. We offered him $12 million, but at the end of the lunch, he stood up and said, "You've got to be kidding me. Never mind."
He's like, "Look, I'm working a lot right now. I don't
He's
need
in
this
demand.
money
He's
right
booked and
now."
busy.
He's like, I'm busy. He is, as far as I know. He works pretty regularly. I think he was on Stargirl.
Do you think there's a number that he would have said yes to though?
He's like, "Look, 16 million and you got a deal." He's like,
Yeah.
20 million, you got a deal, but 12.
Yeah, I mean, 12 is like, man, that's life changing for me. But
Yeah.
I guess
we ended up not covering it, but so his lawyer basically after his death, his lawyer came out and said that the Goldmans and the Simpsons and the Browns aren't going to get any money because he still owes them a ton of money because they lost the civil suit, despite being found innocent criminally. Civilly, he was still liable, and he was getting a pension from the NFL as well as movies and stuff that he had done. And after saying he's like, they're not going to get shit. That's like his lawyer's like, they're not going to get anything because they came out trashing OJ after he died. Of course, why wouldn't they? But then he reversed course. He said, I am going to pay them out like the money they're owed and stuff like that.
You know what I want them to do with this movie? Race swap OJ. I think it's time for a white OJ Simpson.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Someone suggested
Who
Chris
would
Pratt.
play Chris Pratt? Yeah, it's not bad.
Another person said Tom Holland would be a good pick.
oh man.
Well, they continually throw Tom Holland in all of these action films all the time, and he's like the most least looking action
Timothy
star
Chalamet.
ever.
Timothy Chalamet is OJ Simpson.
No, you know what? We can go
Then all the
midway.
ladies would love him.
I think you get Dave Bautista.
Yeah?
I think you get Bautista to do it.
That would be, yeah.
That would be good. What other football players have got? Somebody says Tom Brady. There you go. 2 football players. That's perfect. Like
But they found a really good actor. Like he actually does bear a resemblance.
Brock Lesnar.
There you go. Brock OJ wasn't that wide, dude. OJ was not that. Oof, that's who could they get to do this? And a lot of people point out, they're like, look, Norm Macdonald wishes he could have come back for this. That
Play a
would be-
lawyer.
Yeah, that would be great. I would like to know in the chat, The Rock. The Rock could do it.
Oh yeah.
The Rock could do it. I don't know who else you guys would
But
get.
The Rock, like his aversion to being seen as a bad guy is going to prevent him from doing it.
I mean, a lot of some actors, like Tom Cruise is kind of the same way. He's very picky about Tom Cruise. He's not tall enough. Like Tom Cruise is very picky about the villain roles that he takes, which he doesn't do that often, which is why I love the movie Collateral so much, because you finally get to see him be a bad guy. But you don't get to see him that much, but then he does it for the OJ satire movie.
I'm obsessed with the idea.
The Rock, though, isn't he now the bad guy in the WWE? With his comeback, he's supposed to be the bad guy.
Well, that's why it works, though, because he got to play against, and in wrestling, it's kind of more... He was also like, when he came back, he's now like on the board of Endeavor, which now owns WWE, so he got a lot more creative freedom to do what he wanted to do when he came back. And he made his bones by being a bad guy and a cool good guy. Like even
Yeah.
when he was a good guy, he was known for being mean to people and talking shit.
Yeah.
That's why people like I explained to Mary kind of the same way I say about who's the other one I say you can't understand it unless you grew up in that time period. The Rock and
Will Smith?
And Will Smith. You'll never
Yeah.
understand, like, unless you grew up in the early 90s,
Yeah.
you won't understand how cool Will Smith was.
He was really cool.
Will Smith, he could play O.J. Simpson. It's not a race swap, but or they could get Jada. Get Jada to do it. That'd be great. So yeah, like you won't understand like how cool The Rock was because he's so sanitized now.
I have
in
no
Hollywood.
memory of.
Well, and he has vetoes on those scripts in WWE anyway. So when he went there, he's like, well, yeah, I'm going to flip it because, people got mad about what was going to happen. And then he decided to, you know what, I'm just going to play this Hollywood version of myself, the Hollywood Rock from like 2003.
Yeah.
So, and really, I think it was more of an amalgamation from even before when he was with Nation of Domination.
Yep.
So I think that was that amalgamation he came up with, and he started doing all the Versace shirts and vests and everything again. And
Can't even wear shirts because his arms are too big.
I know he's got to do the tank tops.
It's really funny. So one of the things that was going around the other day was when DX did their version of the Nation Domination. They all wore blackface.
That would never fly
like
down.
1998, and it was like it was amazing.
It was the 90s.
And the best part was not only did they do that, but X-Pac was playing Mark Henry, so he was wearing like a fat suit.
Oh.
So it's like not only are you being racist, you're being fat phobic too.
Triple H had that big nose.
Yeah.
It's funny, like some of these older TV shows. I mean, like all in the Family's a given, right? But like my wife loves watching The Office, The Golden Girls, and she was showing me this one scene from The Golden Girls that they were the four ladies were fat shaming the one lady's daughter like for an entire 5 minutes, and I was like, wow, that just wouldn't go today.
I posted
Too
like
honest.
I posted a scene from like the first season of a show called Third Watch where it's these cops at roll call, and it has like racism, sexism, homophobia, and like ableism all in like the first minute just by these cops talking to each other. And it's not even done in a mean way. It's just things were a lot more, people were more lighthearted in the late 90s. You could get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a reason the phrase "it was the 90s" works so well. Yeah. I want them to make this movie. I did think it was funny that right after OJ died, like there was a huge recall on Broncos. Like,
Yeah,
a bunch of cars a bunch of Broncos.
Nothing
got
to
recalled.
see here.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, maybe satire is what you need. I'm surprised. You know who should have made this? Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jordan
man.
Peele
It's very his
would have
bag.
would have been the person to make this, or get Tyler Perry to do it and turn it into a comedy. Medea's OJ movie. I would watch the Medea's OJ movie any day of the week. We could do this.
Wild.
All right, guys,
That'd be wild.
let's do some super chats here, guys. Let's get a crisis party.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett, Mary, Tony, and Joel. No idea why that sounds like a 60s family folk band. Anyway, let's talk Squatch."
It does, kind of, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
Yes,
Peter, Paul, and Mary?
Oh, this is nice. Roses are red, violets are blue, Mary's a fed, and Sheets getting sued.
And here's the thing, I found like another like taco place over here, so I have kind of retired Sheets Tacos for now for like
That's
actual
good.
tacos.
You're growing. You're learning.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's more expensive, so it hurts a little bit more to spend more money on it, but you've got to pay for quality, I suppose. Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Do big feet actually like jerky, or is that a myth?"
They have to like jerky, right? I mean, it's
that a
marketable.
thing?
So
Yeah.
the whole Squatch. What jerky is that? Was that what's the brand that does that? Lynx. Yeah.
They got in
I
on
mean,
that early.
I listen. I've reached out to Lynx over the years. Like, hey, I'm your guy, sponsor.
They don't want
Crickets.
any part of that.
They want nothing to do with me.
All right. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Mary, Larry Sanders. This story is bonkers.
Yes. This man named Larry Sanders was recently convicted of murder. He reportedly murdered his friend because he believed that his friend was summoning Bigfoot to eat him. That's actually the story.
As one does.
Yeah. At the time, they were noodling, and this is a term I am newly introduced to, but that means fishing with
Weren't you raised a
hands.
redneck?
No. So like you're fishing like in the water with your hands.
Yeah.
So that's what they were doing together in Oklahoma. And he believed that his friend was summoning Bigfoot and was going to feed him to Bigfoot. And you guys, as Bigfoot respecters, do you
That's a
think,
good way to put it.
would you say that Bigfoot eats people, or what is his diet? What does his diet consist of?
So there's
Because I don't really know all the facts.
Wait,
like,
can
I'm
you
not
even
educated
summon,
on this.
If you could just summon Bigfoot,
like, and also like,
happen?
what are the ways that you summon him?
So there's this. We were talking about rabbit holes earlier. This is a real rabbit hole, believe it or not. This whole story. But no, so people say that Bigfoot will take their livestock off their farm and for eating purposes. And there's
not just as pets.
No, not just as pets. I've heard stories of Bigfoot doing things to animals that we will not repeat on this show. It's kind of crazy. But there's a real case to be made that people make that some of these missing people cases are Bigfoot related. And so in the one article that I was reading about that whole thing, they said it was Sasquatch-like. So I don't know what Sasquatch-like means.
Right.
Well, it's 12 feet, apparently.
So this says that Larry Sanders strangled his friend Jimmy Knighton to death in July 2022 when they were out fishing. And he claimed during his testimony that while they were out fishing, he saw 3 Sasquatch-looking figures by the river. Witnesses testified that Larry Sanders had said he believed Knighton was trying to kill him and send his body down the river as a sacrifice to Bigfoot. And the forensic psychiatrist testified that Larry Sanders was suffering from methamphetamine-induced psychosis and was under the belief he was defending himself.
Yeah.
So he didn't plead insanity, or...
I was surprised by that, actually. I thought
that
that's
seems
the layup.
like a
right?
clear case.
Yeah.
I mean, can you claim insanity when you're drug-induced? I don't know if that's like drug-induced psychosis isn't going to get you like a lighter sentence.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
Look, I
he's
never
out
saw Bigfoot when I was a mess. I saw some shit, but I was always like very aware that what I was looking at wasn't real because I'd been up for 3 or 4 days at a time, and but I wasn't around anyone. Maybe if I was around someone, I'd have been like, "Oh, dude, you're making these shapes in the room appear," and then like go through like some type of psychotic break. I don't know, but this is a very believable story to me.
I want to know what it was like in those moments. I mean, they're literally noodling. I mean, I mean,
like literally a fight in the water.
Yeah, like how does this? What was
insane.
said? I mean, you're in the middle of sticking your arm into a hole and wiggling it like a fish, so that a giant fish, bites down on your arm and you pull it out of the water. This is the process that you're in, and somehow you go from that to my friend is summoning Bigfoot to come and sacrifice me down the river for these creatures.
And he's got to have some belief in Bigfoot somewhere.
Yeah,
so if he's conjuring this in his head, and maybe there's the option he wasn't. Maybe it's all happened. He was on meth, and then he saw it for real, and then freaked out. Who knows?
Maybe the lesson here is like never noodle on meth.
Yeah. I mean, it's like either noodling or meth, not the two together.
And like, look, someone died. It's sad. I understand. Like, pay reverence to that. But the story is so absurd. Like, I cannot help but laugh.
I would be like, my stomach would sink if it comes out in court. He's like, well, I was listening to the Confessionals podcast, and I was like, no!
Right, like that would be your downfall.
I'm like, no!
Well, do you think that this story might be a story of like, maybe we don't know from his testimony, but like, is this a story of what can happen if you actually go down the rabbit hole which you visit, but you shouldn't stay there?
Just don't go down
Yeah.
the rabbit hole on meth. That's what I think the best thing you can do.
Do you think like there's conspiracy-induced psychosis?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the other thing. If this dude was a political junkie, he would think that Bill Gates was being summoned to kill him, and the same thing would have happened.
No, Bill, you're not buying my farmland.
Yeah, exactly. That's what would happen. Like, it's just pick your fear, and you just drop it in there. And an environment plays a huge role in that. So where he lives, it would be very different than a person who lives in the city, has been on psychosis, hears a knock at the door, and just unloads a mag through the wall because they're scared that the ATF is there to break down their door, or the feds are there to break down their door. Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah.
They just are.
Well, I think this came up the last time you were on the show. You making the content you make, you attract a certain audience. Like, I'm sure it's a minority of the people who listen to the Confessionals podcast, but like a niche group that is deep in that conspiracy rabbit hole.
We definitely get emails from people who will say their experience, but they'll preface it with, I was on drugs, you know? And, it's one of those things where, I can't really bring you on to talk about, because everybody's gonna say it's an invalid experience.
It's like when people talk about the benefits of psilocybin or experiences they've had on ecstasy or on acid, which do actually unlock different parts of your brain, but it's very hard for somebody else to relate to that because they're not going through that, and no podcast in their right mind is like, yes, you should go do this. Actually, they probably do that, but they advocate that this is not something you can do legally, but this is what happened to me. This is what these were the insights that I gained by doing that. But it's very hard to talk about it in the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's really sinister when people kind of promote the use of psychedelics or other drugs in order to access another realm or interact with creatures.
Rogan is like, excuse me, I'm here to talk about DMT with you.
Right. Like, it's weird how usually the people who've used DMT, they want other people to do it. They want to encourage other people to do it.
I was just watching a clip from Rogan's show, and they were talking about this stuff, and I was sitting there thinking, should I try DMT just one time just to see what the big fuss is about? But I was like, I think that's a bad move.
Depends on if you have fragile brain chemistry or not.
I think I do.
My experiences with those, like, I was never like a psychedelics guy ever, but I did try them, and all my experiences were bad. And those were in fairly controlled environments where I was not an idiot and just did it randomly, but was just young and stupid, and not regret it, but definitely like 1 out of 10 wouldn't do again. Right?
So like I think that there is something to be said about the whole drug-induced experience, in the sense that like I think that when people do these things, they might be having some kind of access to some kind of other realm, in the sense of spiritual experiences. And I don't know, I've never done meth. I don't know what the experience feels like, but if that guy's out there in the water and he's on meth, like, and something like that happens, I mean, maybe it's not Bigfoot, but maybe he is coming across some kind of entity that is telling him to do something.
There's a $20 one there?
Yeah, Rhaegar Targaryen said Larry Sanders was also a senator who was revealed to be a member of Hydra when Cap exposed that they were in S.H.I.E.L.D. So this definitely checks out. He tried to take Iron Man's armor too. Bad dude.
Bad dude. Bad dude.
Bad guy.
And to your point, like, a thing is like, look, when you're out there in the woods and shapes will play tricks on you, when you've been up for 3-4 days at a time, things are moving.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard enough in like a set environment, like an apartment, where you aren't going to have sudden movements or sounds, and everything is very regulated and close to your daily experience. But if you're outside, even just time of day change as the sun sets will cause things in your eyes and in your purview to look different.
We got another $20 from AJR. Well, you done and said it. What's the one, Brett?
I don't know what he means.
I don't know what that means.
What do you mean?
We would like to answer your question.
I don't know what you mean by what's the one.
Send another $20 super chat with what you mean, clarification.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll get to it.
unless it's I don't know exactly what you mean, but I'll answer your question if you can clarify.
Yeah.
But like those, like the worst thing you can do is to go into uncontrolled environments awake for days at a time. Bad things happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back to super chats.
Unless they're talking about he's talking about the drug. Like, I tried acid and I tried MDMA and I tried mushrooms, and all of those experiences were less than optimal for me.
Less than optimal.
I was younger and they weren't good, but just don't do it. I'm not advocating that anyone do this. If anything, take from me to say, like, you have to understand like how your own body works, and know, like, you should operate with a healthy sense of skepticism and fear with those things. Like, I don't want to go out into an environment and find myself, freaking out because I don't know, I can't control what's going on around me. You ever seen the memes that people talk about when you take too many edibles and they're like, there's nothing you can do about it now. You can't get it out of your system fast enough. Buckle up and understand that the next 8 hours of your life are going to be shit. That happens because, delayed reaction. Just don't do it. Live a healthy
drugs, kids.
life. In fact, go keto, go vegetarian. I don't know. I don't do any of those. But just live a healthy life and you'll be much happier.
Yeah.
Okay, Bookstore Thor said, rough day, so I want to shout out my friends PJ and Abby over at Conspiracy Pilled.
Okay.
My other favorite unhinged podcasters, platypuses are cryptids. You guys agree with that?
They're weird.
Weird
Platypi.
looking.
They're very
They
weird.
are weird looking.
They look accidental.
Shane H. Wilder said, Devil in the Village are his two best. I agree. He also said over-the-shoulder underwear, i.e. the wedgie from hell.
Let's do two more.
Corey Anderson said, Mary's BF, marry her already, I'm tired of waiting. Okay.
She'll pass that along.
Shane H. Wilder said, sigh, fine, you'll get a top 8 this weekend. I feel like I'm being used for my memes. Well, you are. You feel that way because you are being used for your memes.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back
Okay.
after the fact. All right, time to talk about boring. I literally call him Boring Guy, and
That's
he's my
so
hero.
mean.
He's
Okay.
my hero.
So there is this TikToker who goes by the name Hub's Life, and recently a lot of his videos have been getting reposted all over X, and most people are agreeing that it's extremely disturbing. He is chronicling his life as a 9-to-5 desk job worker, and all of the routines that he goes through. Very monotonous, and he intentionally makes the videos seem as depressing as possible. At least that's the way it seems to us. So let's just react to some of his content first.
Was the one that Matt Walsh reposted with the music? You have to
Yeah,
play that
go
one
with
on-
the one that was posted by Expose Them.
Because the song is actually the.
It's
the
very
most-
sad.
Here we go, guys. let's listen. Let's watch this.
I'll get you.
Watch this is the weather.
Look, everything. There's literally nothing wrong about this. I'm gonna point.
I
this out.
disagree.
If we had talked about this earlier in the week, I don't think I have the brain power to actually talk about this one fully. Not in a way that I'm actually gonna be able to get my point across. But you could make this video about even the most interesting of jobs. We have fairly interesting jobs. We don't work normal 9-to-5 jobs as people think of them. But I could make this video of me getting ready for my day and going to work.
With
I wouldn't-
sad piano
With sad
music.
Like, have you ever seen those things where they change the music in a trailer to make it scarier? Or make it,
Yeah.
That's a lot of the work going into this. I'll point out the other side. It's the very empty table with nothing on it. It's putting a glass of a single glass or a single can on a widely empty table that makes you feel a sense of emptiness. There's nothing about this that's unnatural. His fridge is like mysteriously empty on the side.
There's a lot about it that, it raises questions.
This is actually a dude who's just very good at his job, which is creating content.
What if that's an Airbnb that he got just to shoot this?
right. It's all a ruse. But
So let's see. You think that there is something wrong with this.
Yeah, I do. I think that no human is designed to work in the corporate postmodern 9-to-5 lifestyle, and there's a reason why it's making people insane.
Okay.
It is. I do think it's driving people insane, but it's like a slow burn, and more and more people are starting to talk about it. They're calling it the laptop job, where you honestly feel like you're not doing anything, and you're just kind of filling your time. Even if you're getting paid well, a lot of these people are saying they feel empty inside. And it makes sense to me because I just don't think there's anything about his lifestyle or the modern lifestyle in general that meshes with human nature. Because like it was never like this for millennia for human beings. And it's very recently that life started to look like this.
But post-industrial revolution, this is what the world is that we live in now for the majority of people, as we have created telecommunications in the way that business is actually done worldwide. Like even for a job like yours, which is very, very interesting, you still have to talk to people on the phone. You still have to send emails. You still have to do all of these things that resemble a typical corporate type job.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, but I feel like fulfillment is a big thing. I think that our parents' generation might have been different than ours. And I think that, at least for me, I find that I need fulfillment in my life.
Okay.
And so I need to feel like I'm actually making some kind of an impact in a positive way. And so that's why, like, when I was driving truck and stuff, I couldn't keep doing that because I was literally staring out a window by myself all day long for 14 hours a day.
There's a $20 super chat here that from Adolfo that literally says AI will do those jobs soon.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. I feel like just I see what the whole point is there, and I just I don't know. I always encourage people to try to chase life to the fullest, and I think we're, as humans, like we're just not meant to be these lab rats, and we've been trained to do this since we were children. That's what the education system is all about. I mean, it's like, here's the way you learn. It's like not all people's brains work the same way, and some of these kids, they're not stupid. It's just the way the system's set up. It's not tailored for the way their brains work. And you then just get ushered into adult life where it's like, okay, the next stage is get a 9-to-5, go to work, shut up, make money, provide for your family, and live happily. And I don't know if that's the right formula for everybody.
Also think that there are a contingent of people who think that they're not creative enough to be able to do something like this because society's taught them that they can't because they're not allowed.
Thank you. Hold that thought.
Let's get a second crisis party, guys. Come on! I don't want to go work a laptop job.
Sorry,
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. A huge part of me does want to. I look at this and I see stability.
So you were in the middle of a thought. I don't know if you still have it.
No, it's good. So I just think there's a contingent of people, a large contingent of people, who think that they're not creative enough to be able to do something in a creative space because that society has taught them that these are your options. You got to go to school. You have to do this. You have to do it this way instead of exploring what they could be creative at. Because creativity is a lot of different things, because some people do have an engineer's mind. They could create in that aspect, whereas myself or Tony do it in a different way. And I do think that, I mean, honestly, me watching that, I get it. And it's entertaining for a second, but then if I watched that all the time, I'd be super depressed. Like that would depress me because I wouldn't want to live that life. And I think, you know, like Tony said, he used to truck drive. I used to sell houses. Like I understand like this monotonous structure of like constantly.
The majority of that video has nothing to do with his 9-to-5 job. The reason it's boring, it's him walking alone to his car. It's him getting
Okay,
up
but that's the point, right? Is that so much of modern life forces you to be isolated. Even if you have children and a spouse, you're still isolated within the nuclear family, and that's never how family structures worked for centuries, millennia beforehand. And I understand what you're saying, like, well, this is the way things are now. Things are different now. And yeah, that's reality, but that doesn't mean that it's a good thing that we're not like on a march toward progress and utopia. Like,
RCW,
there is a reason to feel like something is wrong with this.
Yeah.
RCW says he needs to get married. He is actually married.
He is
has
married
a
and
child on the
expecting
way.
a child,
So, again,
yes.
you're not seeing the time he's spending with his wife. You're not seeing them putting up the crib and building out the baby's room that he likely has, given the fact that he has a really nice walk-in shower, right? Like he's designed this, and this is what content creation, right? He has found a vibe. He has found a tone, something he's trying to display to you to hit a certain part of your emotion. I think he does that perfectly. I actually see this is creativity.
This is his creative
He
outlet.
is actually using an extremely creative outlet to display something that Office Space tried to show you in the movies 20 years ago.
We got a $20 from Top Lobster. He said, I had a very interesting back and forth with Matt. He's wrong, but Daily Wire needs subscribers and not questioners. Well, since you say that, I'll read out Matt Welsh's response to this. He said, the reaction to this guy's videos are so over the top and hysterical that I have to assume everyone must be joking. It's literally just a video of a guy going to work, doing some errands, then coming home. What is disturbing about it? What is he supposed to be doing every day? This is day-to-day life for almost everyone on the planet. If you profess to be disturbed by this, what does your daily routine look like? Is it really that much more exciting than this? Or do you find human existence itself to be miserable by its very nature? I think we just stumbled upon the problem here. But to me, I just think it feels like gaslighting. Like, you should be okay with this. You should be happy and fulfilled by this. When in reality, we live in the most unique time in human history. And there's a reason that people would be appearing to be overreacting to it, because this is obviously not what human brains are designed to do.
For generations, you literally just had to try to survive. So now, almost all that work is done for you societally, right? You go to work, you come home. There's a lot of other hours in the day for you to pursue the things that actually make you happy, right? Like the whole time that I was skating, when I skated for companies, when I was sponsored, when I traveled, I had a job, and I would work when I wasn't out of town. But then when I was off work, the first thing I would do, go skate, go do things with my friends, go things that I was passionate about. But I had that job because there was stability there. So maybe my brain is just programmed differently to look at this as a means to pursue the other things in your life that you enjoy. But that he's not showing you that. If he wanted to make the interesting video, it would be him setting up the tripod. I'm walking back to the bottom of the stairs. Have you ever seen those videos where it's like the guy who makes the inspirational gym videos where he sets up the tripod and then he walks back down the stairs and he walks back up the stairs and the music cuts in with the guy giving the inspirational quote and the color grading changes? That's what it would be. Because that's what it would be, him going home and uploading this footage into Adobe Premiere and being like, I'm going to make my video now. That's the inspiring part of this dude's life. It's just that the thing he wants to inspire you with is boredom.
Okay. I mean, I just think that there's something we've lost out on in modern life. There's a hidden spiritual poverty in the way that this lifestyle is designed, where you only have 4 hours for those personal pursuits. When in reality, I just think people were happier when they were responsible for creating their own subsistence. And survival mode actually wasn't what you're making it sound like, you know?
It wasn't?
Like, I think that people felt more fulfilled when they were responsible for their own subsistence.
So they had to actually, so if all your life was designed around making sure you had enough food, making sure you had shelter, and getting those basic human needs met before you could do anything else, like,
there's a meditative practice in all of that. Like,
those
think
videos
about
would
the
look
way
boring too.
I'm sure, but like there was actually room for contemplation and conversation and community in that lifestyle that we've lost out on now. And I just think that there needs to be some reverence paid to that, because there is a reason why you should feel, I mean, maybe if you're happy living this lifestyle, that's fine. But to tell people you should feel fulfilled by this, that feels like gaslighting.
So Matt's comments saying that you should.
This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. This is what we're designed to do.
Maybe the idea is that it is fine, but it's also fine if this doesn't fulfill you and you can go and pursue the things that you want.
But there's nothing about modern life that facilitates that possibility. Makes it as hard as possible to do that. That's what I'm saying. It's just that's what I think is wrong with the way society is designed now. And like, why do you think housewives started going crazy? Because the Industrial Revolution took away all of the tasks that they did in the household. And then feminism happened. Because I think like the Industrial Revolution in a lot of ways made women dissatisfied and engendered the feminist ideology. And I don't know if people are really thinking in those retroactive steps here.
I feel like the guy wouldn't have the ability to make these videos if he didn't have the rest of a life that was so on autopilot that he found a creative way to take the autopilot aspects of his life and turn it into a creative outlet. Other people do it in different ways. Like I always point out to you, I was like, look, right now, the greatest place if you want to look at sketch comedy is Instagram or YouTube, which is where you find actual outlets for creativity, which you don't see in the movies and television anymore because there's too many handcuffs on stuff like that. And the ease of access that society has created through all of these things that perhaps have eroded community and other things make those outlets possible. So that's in their way how they search for that outlet for them. But like you said, that's not like it wasn't enough for you. You weren't able to just work that life and go on about it. But
when I started, though, I found it so fulfilling. When I started driving truck, I was excited about it because I knew what the opportunity held. So like when you're trying to figure things out, you don't know until you know kind of thing. And I was excited. Like I was like, I'm the son of a trucker. I know the industry. I know I'm going to make good money for the first time in my life. I'm going to be able to provide for my wife. We didn't have any kids yet and all this stuff. And then you get behind the wheel and you do it for a few years. And yeah, there's a pride in being able to make sure that the bills are taken care of and there's less stress financially, but at the cost of driving a truck by yourself for 14 hours a day, not having a life, and not knowing when you're going to get home for anything because you don't leave until your boss says that you're allowed to be done. And so like it's like a soul-sucking environment that I found myself in, that I got to the point where I was like, you know, I'd rather have a lifestyle outside of the money that and find the joy in the people around me than, you know, the pursuit of a career. And so I was like, I'm just going to start a podcast and see where it goes.
yeah.
We got a $20 from AJR. He said, Mary's rosiness next to her eyes almost makes me think she's human. Hail Ghost Girl.
So you're like,
I don't know how to feel about
half
that.
I was going to
ghost,
say, geez, you had to read that yourself.
half ghost, half human.
Yeah.
I saw a picture the other day, a snarky comment about it's these 4 dudes who clearly just played a round of golf and they've all got white like hats on backwards, and the joke is like, look at these finance bros, they're gonna go home and they're all gonna get jobs working at banks, and this was designed as like a look at these losers, they're a bunch of finance bros, and all the comments, half the comments were like, yeah, look at these losers, oh, they're so conformed, and the other half was like, yeah, and they're gonna marry 9s and 10s, and they're gonna have kids, and they're gonna have a life that fulfills them, and they're not gonna think twice about what you said about them on the internet. And I think a lot of it is like, for those people, yes, for those who are creative and feel a true drive towards outward creation, it's unattainable. They can't not do it. But for a lot of people, they don't think that way.
Right, and that's what I was saying earlier. I think that people are just, they're designed differently. I think that generations of people are raised in different generations where you're geared to think certain ways, but then people themselves are individuals. Like there are people, I mean, like my dad, I mean, he's been driving truck for over 30 years. Like that's his career. That's what he does. And he's okay with that, you know? And at the end of the day, I would still be driving truck right now if that was the only option I had on the table.
And sounds like the same for you, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my mind's just always creating even when I'm trying to sleep. So it's just, it doesn't shut off. So it's, when you have that, you want to find an outlet for it. And I think sometimes you feel handcuffed by things like money and things that you need to make those things come up off the ground. So you got to find a way to do that. I think that creative people do, because they look at jobs more as like jump off points to help them get to another thing. I guess it just sucks that you have to. I think that's the part that
I don't think you'd have to, though, if you realize the formula early on. If you figure that out soon enough, you don't set your life up to require the need for the amount of money that you're going to need. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I think, but the problem is we're raised in an environment, brought up in an environment where it's just always like, when you graduate, what school are you going to go to?
Right.
Well, it's not always for everybody.
Well, here's an example. So my sister has been in law enforcement for years, right? And she worked her way up the chain. She's one of the few lieutenants in the state of South Carolina. She went undercover narcotics for years, and she's very fulfilled. She loves that job, and it's, you know, from the outside looking in, it's mundane, even though her part in it wasn't very mundane at all. She's an adrenaline junkie. But seeing her fulfilled, you know, like I was back there a week ago, and seeing her and how much she loves the job and the drive for the job and, you know, what she's done, you know, it is different for different people, but she is creating. You know, she would go undercover as like prostitutes and all these different things, and she was creating in that sense. So I guess creation is different for different people. You know, I guess I just haven't met too many people, right? If you get to them at the core level, are they really happy with that mundane job unless they've worked that mundane job to get to a certain level of accolades or whatever else? It's tough for me to find that, because I'll talk to people and initially it'll seem like they are, but then it doesn't. The deeper you get in the conversation with them, they're unhappy. And so maybe to your point, maybe that's kind of what society's done. It's destroyed us early on to force us to think that this is the only way.
I feel like I don't remember where I heard this, but it was a story, really quick story here, but that somebody was at their dentist, and they asked him, you know, what made you want to become a dentist? Like, what made you think that prying on teeth was what you wanted to do? And he's like, an 18-year-old decided he wanted to be a dentist, and that's what I do. It's just like, I made a decision early in my life that affected the rest of my life, and that's where I'm at.
And you, as a, like, the human brain is great at just learning to cope and deal with and make the most of the situations that you've created for yourself. To your point, it's like the Walt Disney quote where he says, "We don't make movies to make money. We make money so that we can make more movies." Right? That's the idea for them. I do think that there's something to that, because even to me, I would almost have to put like a valuation on it. Like, I see somebody working at Target or working at Walmart, and I'm like, I would never be able to do that again after doing this job. But if someone was to say, you're going to work that mundane job, but you're going to be able to afford a comfortable lifestyle, and then you put a number on it. And back to what you were saying about, I think it's about risk. Like, a lot of people, you can still do all those things. It just carries an inherently large amount of risk to take those chances and bet on yourself and hope that you can make something out of that. And that speaks more to a society's focus on safety rather than growth and discovery.
Yeah, it's a question that I always just kind of ask myself, especially early on, which was like, am I okay with this for the rest of my life? It's the idea of risk. Like, I don't want to be on my deathbed one day or in my old age and being like, I really wish I would have tried this one thing just to see what would have happened. Maybe I'd still be here, but I at least know that I tried it. And that was like going with the risk thing. Maybe if people would be able to, think ahead on those kind of situations, and maybe they'd be more prone to take those risks on themselves just because they don't want to have the regret of not trying it. You know, I mean, it can be scary doing things that you don't know how it's going to end up. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, if you believe in yourself and you think there's a chance, just try it and see what happens. I mean, you only get one shot at it.
Well, that's a white pill.
Yeah, it is. And like, say the opposite version, this is the one that always annoys me, is I know a lot of people who are artists who they bitch endlessly on social media about how I just want to create all day, but capitalism, but having to survive. I'm like, bro, what do you want me to do about it? Like, bite me. Like, I'm not voting for UBI, so kick rocks. Like, that's what I see as the opposite version.
Give me
of this,
UBI
which
so I
is
can finger paint all
everyone
day.
thinks that it's to say everyone on UBI thinks that they're going to be the dude who's going to be a pro, who could be a musician. If only they didn't have to go to their 9-to-5 job. We know that is not the actual fact.
I've got a friend that is definitely on the opposite spectrum of me, like on a lot of like how I think about things, but a really good friend nonetheless. And he and I argue about this stuff. And I swear to you, he brought that up about UBI. And I'm like, hold up, man. He breaks down all this stuff about capitalism to me, and part of it makes sense, but then the other part's like, no, you're off. And then he goes into the fact that, well, I'm all about UBI, man, because then I could do the stuff that I really want to do. I'm like, but would you really? Because here's the thing, if you don't have the drive now, then why would you just magically have the drive then?
Especially when the competition's greater.
Exactly.
COVID proved that false.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everyone is going to sit around and watch
order DoorDash and watch
Tiger King.
Yeah.
Like that's
Tiger King.
Most people aren't exceptional, and that's just fine.
And exceptional is looking at those obstacles and finding a way to circumvent them. That is what also drive gives you, is the ability to create around those obstacles.
The best will find a way through the obstacles. And that's the whole point. It's actually, if anything, you could look at your 9-to-5 corporate job as the litmus test as to whether you deserve to produce in this career anyways. The best YouTubers eventually take the risk and go full time, right?
Got a
I don't even know.
Sorry, from AJR. Would love to see more Mary memes. She's the best.
There you go.
Okay, sorry for interrupting the show for the simp.
The best, the most talented YouTubers end up having to take that bet on themselves and say, "Look, I'm working part time." Like, we're very lucky. We do this for a company. So we have never had to take that risk. But a lot of them, they get to a certain point, they're like, look, I'm almost there. Like, if I was just able to put a little bit more time into this, I feel like I could actually make this my job. Yeah. And I have the utmost respect for the ones who take that risk and that challenge, but you have to have something in your way that makes it a problem. Like, there's something that has to be at risk to make it actually something to be great.
Yeah, you need adversity in life. All right, let's catch up on Super Chats.
Do it.
Corey Anderson said the PCC top 8 list would have to be based on amount of money spent on Super Chats, obviously. Would Cody Boudreaux and his sister count as 1 or 2 people on the list?
Him or his sister, I don't know.
Gosh, I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Corey Anderson said hashtag justice for Mocha, the dog.
Yes, there will be justice for Milka the dog. The cat, however, gets no love in this podcast. Never have, never will.
I'm not going to read that next one. And he said, I would like to see a buddy cop movie starring Phil and Ian. Wesley, get it done.
There you go.
We'll pass that along to Wesley.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, when Buddy Holly died, Waylon Jennings was supposed to be on the plane, but gave up his seat for a dude with the flu. Waylon switched to country after. Okay, interesting.
Right. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back to the thing. Let's talk about you guys and let's talk about everything that's going on with the movie and how things have been, because you were here about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Where were things on this project at that time?
We had shot it already, and that was about as far as we were on it. It didn't go into production until later. And there was even new information that we got from this journey we went on that we didn't have last time. But essentially, this new documentary we're premiering on May 5th, it's called Sasquatch The Missing Man. And we started out in this journey of going to Washington to my friend Wes. He has a Bigfoot podcast called Sasquatch Chronicles, where he interviews people on their experiences, and has over 1,000 episodes.
Damn.
And, yeah, he's been doing it since like 2012, 2013. And he took us to ground zero of where him and his brother one night had this radical life-changing experience that actually launched him into this podcast, because he was like, there's got to be other people who've had these experiences. And we thought we were going out there for just a Bigfoot film. We were going to, go to this location, investigate it. He was going to show us around. We had some other people lined up to talk about their experiences in the area.
Sorry.
It always happens in the...
It's all right.
But you gotta dance.
You gotta dance. I'll keep it right about here. Just get right here.
Like
Okay?
the little, like,
I'm not gonna go too. I gotta keep it in frame.
You do the Trump dance. That's the little thing.
The elbows have to stay like firmly at your side. Yes. All right.
Oh, what was I talking about?
Okay,
Oh, the movie. Yeah. So we were going out there for that, and we set off on this journey, of talking to these people about their experiences in Pacific Northwest, Washington State, Oregon.
So why there?
It
does seem like a hot spot
It is.
for all of these things.
It's a hot spot for people who don't like dive into the topic a whole lot, because it's just really well known for that stuff. But
is it a climate thing? Do they like the climate out there?
It's not, though, because
It's the ambiance.
They're seen all over the country.
There's a reason why the X-Files, which was shot in Vancouver, basically never it's always playing some random Midwestern town, because Vancouver just looks like Washington,
looks like it. Yeah.
or that looks
Actually,
like.
I guess I would think of the Pacific Northwest and like Pennsylvania, Idaho. That's
So-
technically like.
Yes, and
But
demonology
Pennsylvania, I've heard a lot about like stories of cryptids from Pennsylvania specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of stories. But I will tell you, growing up in Pennsylvania, being this redneck kid and going through the woods there, for the first time in my life, going to Washington State to go in the woods there for this film, the woods are completely different. It's like you're stepping into a whole other world. The mountains are different. It's much more wild in every sense I could convey to you. And so we went out there and we're going through this stuff, and then literally, what would you say, like 200 feet away from where Wes had his ground zero experience, we saw on the very first day there was this van sitting off the side, like backed into the trees. And we checked it out, and there was like this bong sitting out, some weed sitting out,
Like a lot of weed.
a lot of weed. And
that might explain, a lot. Not for you guys, but I'm saying, like, you guys will have to watch the documentary to know what happened.
Yeah.
But, like,
Well, there were so many questions that I wanted to ask you, but
No,
now I
ask.
don't know how much you want to say
All
because
right,
it's
so
not out yet.
I always tell authors that come on my show, the best way to sell your book is to tell people what's in it. I'm fine saying anything.
Okay.
because-
Well, tell the rest of what you wanted to reveal,
Sure.
and then I'll ask.
Okay.
How about that?
So we investigate this campsite, and we find that he has an outside toilet that hasn't even been touched. It hasn't been used. And so it's a fresh campsite, but this guy's nowhere to be seen. The vehicle's locked. And so we make note of it. We go into Oregon. We meet up with another lady talking about her experiences. We do different events. And we come back the night that we saw it, we came back and it was still there, still untouched. We did the rest of the week. And then our last night out there, we came back up for a final night investigation, and the camp was still there, still untouched. And now we're like, okay, I think we're dealing with a possible missing case here. And we had reported it. And it turns out that this guy, John, really was a missing person.
Yeah.
And his family, his ex-fiancée, found out that we found his campsite. She contacted us, and her and I have been in communication. And it's like people are all right. So after we reported this person missing, they combed the area looking for him, and they didn't find him, but they found 4 other dead bodies out there while we were out there doing our investigation. That's what was around us. We just didn't see it. And so it's one of those things where we went out there to do this Bigfoot film and investigate the area. We stumbled across this missing person case, and we just kind of combined the two and called it Sasquatch and the Missing Man.
Well,
there's a $20. I just want to read it before we get. It says, "Let's talk about skunk ape. Florida always being Florida." Have you heard of skunk ape?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just pulled up the wiki, and it's the greatest photo I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wait, there's an actual photo of the skunk ape.
There's a photo of a depiction.
They found him.
Look at that guy. It's I like that guy.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, Bigfoot is something that's been seen all over the country. Pennsylvania is rich with history. I mean, when you look at the old newspapers and stuff, you'll see articles talking about, like, in 1865, Hamburg, Pennsylvania, the townspeople went out looking for the hairy man who tried abducting a little girl from the field that day, or something like that. Like, it's always being described as like the hairy man. But throughout the country, they have different terms. So the skunk ape in Florida, Bigfoot, they called it down there. In Ohio, they call it the grass man. So
I mean, the way that some of these descriptions sound, it wouldn't even resemble a hairy man. It could be an entirely different, like, genus of a species, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much I want to say because I don't want to
sir.
repeat word for word what they were saying, but like spider-like movements and this stature that's nothing like any primate.
Yeah. So
I don't know, like the idea that it's the same creature but it goes by different names in all these different regions, to me that like seems unlikely.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. When people describe the grass man, when they're describing the skunk ape, like it sounds like a Bigfoot. That's what it sounds like. But like when Wes had his experience and he talked about this thing dropping down on all 4, when he came out talking about that, all these like people in the community of Bigfoot research, they're like, that's impossible. They don't do that. You're lying. And then since he came out talking about it, other people have come forward saying similar things. And it's not in the documentary because we didn't have permission to use it, but it was sent to me from a Facebook page. A guy in Ohio has game trail cameras on his house. Now, in the documentary, Wes talks about going down on all four. Joanna talks about it. It literally, its torso facing upward, its head looking at her, and it walking backwards on all four up the hill to Mount Hood, which is like out of a horror movie. This guy in Ohio, on his game trail cam that he has on his property, facing out different directions because these things are there, he has something. I don't want to say what it is. I have suspicions, but there's something that's huge with 4 legs on all 4 crawling across his property towards his house like a spider. And like it looks like what others have described, like the spider crawl.
For clarity, between like when you guys found that van and when you made the report, how many days passed?
I think we did it
it was 5.
That's
we
okay.
started.
That really frustrated me.
Yeah.
Like, because I was like, why didn't you just report it when you found it and you saw the receipt in there that says it had been there for a week? Like, that really frustrated me.
Yeah.
Like, why did you wait that long?
I don't think it was 5 days, because I do think, because I know we got back to the hotel. It might have been 5 days actually.
Yeah.
But
like, that's just crazy to me. Like, what?
I didn't think anything about it when it happened, because here's the thing that we did find out that we didn't talk about on the film, and I can answer your question here on why that might not be as frustrating, hopefully.
Okay.
So we heard that there are guys that go up there and they just camp out up there, but they're doing trade work around the town. This happens all the time. So we had no idea if this guy was actually missing yet or not. And the thing is, we weren't up there for 5 days. We were only up there twice.
And
so
he had a contractor van, so that's what led us to think that he might have been working there. And there was construction right down the road from there.
So while we were in Washington and some of the surrounding areas for 5 days, we were only in that location twice. So we were there early in the week, and then the last day of the week when we went back, the van was still there. But we did make the decision then because we saw it then. It probably seems like in the film we were there for 5 days, but we actually were all over Washington and Portland and all that.
And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I as like being on the scene and stuff, and we're out there to make a film, I was very hesitant because I'm like, are we, like, we're looking at something here, and I'm trying to be like, step back from the situation, be like, are we trying to make a story here? You know, like, we're out here making a documentary, and this is happening, and part of me was like, I don't want to be that guy that's overreacting, like, oh, it's this, it's that, you know, it's part of the story. Film it, make a story up and stuff. You know what I mean? So like, I was very.
Guy comes back from the, he shows up. He's
like, why are you filming my weed?
Right. He's like, yo,
could you leave my weed alone, please? Like, I don't want to be in your movie.
Yeah. And so like I had like this inner battle because I was like, is there overreacting here? We're out here to make a film, and is this just playing into it?
Yeah.
And so like, I was very self-conscious in those moments. Like in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know if this is an overreaction as well. I will tell you, I know it's not an overreaction because he's still missing. And I had been in contact with his ex-fiancée, and when she told me that they found the 4 dead bodies, but then I think it was like 3 weeks before the final product was finished, we saw on Facebook there was a notification that in that area, Sunset Falls, Washington, there was a biker that must have just been riding his bike along the road, and he saw a human skull. And so he reports it, and the police, and talk about urgency, right? Like, if I reported a human skull and you were police, you're like, oh, let's go, right? It took a couple of days for them to get up there for whatever reason. But when they get up there, the Facebook post says that they found the human skull and other human remains. And so they suggested that this might be the missing person from a year ago, John Guffey. But the only thing that I look at it, I'm like, this is in the exact area you guys combed. You found 4 dead bodies. You didn't find this then. So where'd this come from? And so like part of me was started thinking like, is this area a dumping spot for, you know, illegal activity where, you know, people like local. I asked Wes, which me and Wes have a conversation coming up on my show this coming Tuesday, and I asked him on there about this, and he said that he doesn't know of any like mob activity in that area, but it just seemed like, okay, you found 4 dead bodies out there, and you didn't find this. Now you're finding human remains there. Is this a dumping spot for somebody? Yeah. And did John set up camp there and see something he shouldn't have saw?
Something.
Yeah.
Stumble onto something.
Well, I would like to reel it back in and see like how does this relate to Bigfoot?
Well, I think Bigfoot takes people, and
this is what you like genuinely believe.
Yeah.
Like you're smiling. It's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke. I don't think that Bigfoot is I think that there's been plenty of stories to see the aggressive side of these things and the aggressive side of these encounters, to think that it's a possibility that these things, if they wanted to, they could. I mean, if these things are as big as people say they are, they could do whatever they want. You're not going to stop them. And then, like, literally, the story we were focusing on out there was a very aggressive encounter. Wes strongly believes that he wasn't with his brother to create that other variable in the equation. He doesn't think either one of them would have came back alive if they were by themselves. And so, you know, I think that there is a possibility that this happening so close to where we know something terrible happened to Wes 12 years ago, that maybe that this is a similar situation. And then throughout the country, there's really peculiar missing person cases that don't really have real good logical answers. And that's when people go into the other ideas of abductions, like UFO abductions and things like that. I can't recall the exact case, but there is a case of a missing person where it was a kid that just went missing. It was a family trip, they were camping. Kid goes missing. It's a very bizarre situation, but then it gets more bizarre when other people a little further away said that they saw something very large, a very large black figure carrying what looked like a kid up a hillside. And so then you have other people's accounts of having experiences with these things where it seemed like it took interest in the person, but in a very hospitable way.
So do you think there are mama Bigfoots out there with empty nests who want to abduct human children as their own?
I don't know if the idea is want,
like...
but like I don't know. Like
he and I differ a little bit on Bigfoot.
Yeah.
He tends to think they're all aggressive.
I don't think I don't like Bigfoot. I mean,
yeah, I don't think so. I think there's been too many stories from eyewitnesses where they were perfectly normal creatures in the woods that weren't trying to harm anybody. They were just, this is where we live. I do think that this particular area we're in, I think it could be some sort of territorial thing, because when Wes had his encounter, it was with what it seemed like a family of Bigfoot.
There's at least 3 of them.
There was a very large one. There was a smaller one that he said looked female, and then there was like a child. So that's what he thinks, at least from his story. So if somebody's infringing in a territory of something else,
Bigfoot's got like a "Don't tread on me" shirt on.
could be.
Don't tread on my territory.
Right.
Okay, I wanted to talk about the second person you interviewed. Her name is Joanna, right?
Yeah.
So this one was just like, it raised some eyebrows because she said she was out in the woods collecting mushrooms.
Yeah.
And like, you guys didn't really ask, but like, was she ingesting mushrooms?
I can never remember what it was called. Do you remember the mushrooms that she was getting? Because I think they were actually the edible kind that you like. Because she was talking about. I don't think they were the kind that were hallucinogens.
They're not, because we specifically asked
damn
her
sure,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Because she was saying how, I forget what she was saying you can make it with, but she was telling all these different recipes. She's like, it's delicious, you know. It's like a thing that she did. Like,
it's a culinary thing.
Yeah, like some people make dandelion soup, you know.
Okay,
so.
because I was just suspicious of that
Yeah.
for a moment. Like,
But yeah, I mean, her situation was, she was on my show for, I think, episode 299, and I brought her at the time. She was engaged to this guy, and the guy's sister. I brought the sister on, who reached out to me, and I'm talking to this lady for probably about an hour, 2 hours. And then she says to me that she has her brother's fiance there, who she's like, she saw a Bigfoot, but she doesn't want to say it's a Bigfoot. And so I was like, well, let me talk to her. And so she gets on the phone and she tells me the story that you see on the documentary. And she was on the podcast. She was very, she did not want to call it Bigfoot. She was very uncomfortable with that. She's like, I don't know what I saw. And it wasn't until.
It's like a baggage that comes with the term.
Yeah. Big time. And
Well, I guess if someone like is really eager to be like, I saw Bigfoot, then you don't want to believe him.
she was, even out there, she didn't really want it. She was like, I don't know what I saw, but what she saw was very unnatural, because she said that she saw this thing punching down on the down trees where the mushrooms were, and she thought it was a person wearing a hood at first, until it stood up and turned around and looked at her, and she's like, this was way bigger than a person. And from there, so you think there's something facing her, it's standing on two legs, and she says it goes down on all four legs. Its torso never moved away from her. So now its torso is facing upward towards the sky. Its head is still looking at her. Its arms are back, and it's walking up the mountainside, still looking at her. That's just not normal. It's not natural. And so that's why she's like, I don't know what I saw, but this is what I saw.
So like, I'm the weirdo that would just like chase up the mountainside and try to see it on the other side.
Yeah.
But she ran away.
Yeah, she didn't run away. But
calmly.
Yeah, she didn't go up there.
Filed out.
And I think even me and Joel, we go out in the woods. Like the last time him and I went to the woods, we didn't bring cameras. It was downpouring rain, but we had time. We're like, oh, it's downpouring rain. Let's still go out there and look around. So we were out there till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, getting soaked. And us going out there doing that, we've had some things that will make your butt cheeks tight. And the
hardest part of the whole thing to watch was the baby sounds. Just drove me nuts.
Did it really?
Like if I was Bigfoot, I would run away from the baby sound. Like,
but the mama Bigfoot is like, oh, an abandoned baby. Let me go grab
the
it.
idea is that it would draw in Bigfoot because it hears the. But I hear that and I'm just running the opposite way. So like the baby sounds aren't doing anything to get me.
In my view, it's like we live in this mass surveillance society. We have satellites. It just does. I just can't like.
Well, the government's not gonna let you see that stuff.
Okay, sure, but like even now, the government is trying to get us to believe that aliens are real. And I'm like, okay, now they're definitely fake.
They'll mention after they get us to believe that aliens are real, then it's Bigfoot.
Okay, that's next on the docket.
That's next on the list.
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
Do you think the government has like detained one?
Oh yeah,
maybe?
yeah. There's been stories about it, especially there was a story at one of the wildfires about 5 years ago in California, and apparently one got caught in a wildfire, and there were some people trying to help this creature out, or at least trying to figure out what it was. Government showed up, took it, basically, taped everything off. I mean, you hear this stuff all the time. I mean, and I get the skepticism on it too. Like, I'm not oblivious to what we do is on the outside world is looked at and like, I don't know, and I get it, but I do think that I allow my mind to have this gray area of this possibility because I don't really trust the government. So why would they tell us about anything that would correlate to animal kind and things in the woods? One thing I've noticed over the past few years is the deterrent for us to be connected to nature and be connected to our fellow man and all of these things. And I think that's a part of it. I think they want us away from what we should be in tune with all along. And I'm not talking about this from some hippie way, like I'm sitting in the woods doing Kundalini. I'm just saying in general, like we should be more attached to the earth and like what we can get from it.
So what you're saying is Hub's Life guy needs to get up and go look for Sasquatch.
Needs to join
I would
Sasquatch
invite Hub's Life.
He needs some love in it. He needs some energy in his life. He needs something new. He needs to get a ghillie suit and get out into the woods and go look for Bigfoot. Right?
Yes,
one of these
agree.
Sasquatch hunters should like dress up as one and like do some kind of like mating call.
They have.
Has it worked?
There's an episode of Castle where there's Bigfoot in the city, and it's because the show is set in the real world. It's like Beckett knows that this whole thing is ridiculous and stupid, and Castle, who's ever he wants to believe. He's like he actually mentioned the episode because I like to leave my life open to the possibility of things we don't understand. There is no deepest, darkest, there is no deepest, darkest corner of the world that hasn't been explored anymore. And of course, it proves to be like a professor who murdered his student in like a Sasquatch outfit, and he's like,
literally the village.
It's awesome, but that's the point.
Well,
right?
that's why I actually thought like it makes sense that men are the majority of your listeners because every frontier has been explored except the supernatural, right? Like theoretically, that would be the next frontier that men want to explore.
And maybe it's also that the way we were talking about society and culture, the way it's set up. There isn't a whole lot of opportunity just built into our daily existence to feel manly, to feel strength and strong. And so let's go out and hunt these things that people are saying they're seeing. I'll say, like, going with what you were saying, Joel, I live in East Tennessee now, and they say officially there's no Black Panthers in East Tennessee. There shouldn't be any Black Panthers. I've seen Black Panthers on game trail cam hunting wild boar. These things are absolutely huge. They're terrifying. I had my internet guy coming into my office this past week to fix the internet issues, and he asked me what I do and stuff, and he goes, "Well, I'll tell you one thing. We got black cats around here. I've seen them 30 feet away from me." And then there's a police officer 30 minutes south of the office who on his dash cam has this giant Black Panther crossing the road that was so big that it had a duck underneath the guardrail, its tail curled around the guardrail. And he was told by the rangers, I forget what the official title is, when he talked to them, they told him, don't show that to anybody because those aren't supposed to be here and we don't want people to know about it. Like, that was the literal thing that he was told as an officer, a sheriff. And so, like, if they're doing that about black cats, like, we know mountain lions exist, but I'm talking, like, these black cats are huge, like, very, very big cats, like 200 plus pounds. And if they're doing that about black cats, if Sasquatch is real, of course they would do that. They would definitely not want you to know.
And sometimes it's just minimizing populace fear. You know what I mean? If they say something exists out of nowhere, they're going to have to find a way to trickle it down to you in a way that you're going to be accepted. Because not the average person, if they've been told something doesn't exist for so long and then you just jolt them with like, here it is, well, then they're going to have a bunch of questions at that point. You're going to have to trickle that down to them. So, man, I think they do, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, I wish we could go further
I gotta make
with
you
this,
a
but we
believer.
are. I'm not gonna be one. I'm not. Because look,
What if I showed you a video?
as a Christian, I'm just thinking, if there were a bunch of people searching for Bigfoot, and I'm a demon, like, I'm just gonna go out there and like fuck with them.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for supernatural creatures and they're gonna get one.
Now we think that's
Thank
true
you.
too, though.
Right,
so that's
yeah.
that's definitely in the pocket.
I actually, if you're gonna ask me what Bigfoot is, I think it's probably more of an interdimensional supernatural being than it is a physical creature running around the woods. I think that would explain more.
So it's a demon.
I don't want to say it was a demon.
It's malicious.
That's where he and I disagree, but yes, I think it's malicious. I think it is malicious. But
well, there you go.
So do you ever look into Psalm 82? The very first two verses, it talks about God holding judgment amongst other gods. It's in the Bible, and according to our traditional Christian theology, we're monotheists, so we shouldn't believe that there would be other gods. But in Psalm 82, it literally says Elohim, God, held judgment amongst the Elohim, and it's talking about this divine council. And so I think that there's probably, and there's other evidence in the Bible, especially Old Testament, but I think that there is definitely a hierarchy outside of just the simple angels, God, Jesus, demons, Satan. And I think that those two verses, it's actually four, I think, but I think in themselves show that. And so that's why when I look at this stuff, and that's what the underlying thing for all of us, like Ward, the camera guy that I was talking to guys about earlier, he's the same way as me and Joel, where we feel a very strong passion to show the world through my podcast, through these documentaries, that the supernatural realm does exist, that you're not crazy when you say you had these experiences. And I get it from both ends of things. Like when I talk about God too much on my show, people hate it. And then when I talk about God on my show, people hate it that are Christians, because they're like, that's not right. I'm like, I'm just the weird guy in this little space here. Like, I don't know what to do. So
You got to express yourself.
yeah,
Really.
yeah.
We are kind of short on time, so we should probably finish up our super
Get the
chats.
super chats, guys. Let's get a third crisis party, huh?
But
Yeah.
guys, the link to the trailer and tickets for the documentary are in the description.
Everything's in the description box, guys. You should go and check it out.
All right. Shane H. Wilder said, humans were not meant to be cogs in the machine. To quote Bob Seger, I'm not a number, damn it, I'm a man. Pat the Plumber said, Mary wants us all to stop watching YouTube and start farming and hunting. Well, okay, you can watch our show and just our show, and that would be fine.
Bob Seger also talks about the pangs of being on the road in the song Turn the Page. You know, so he didn't live the traditional life, so his experiences would be different than that of the person who isn't creative, because the person who isn't creative, who works the 9-to-5 job, doesn't know how to write a song that would be all that interesting to the average person.
Yeah.
Rhaegar
It's a messaging
Targaryen
problem.
said, his video looks like how Sega in the 90s would depict what your life would look like if you bought a Nintendo or PlayStation.
I would love
What just
that.
happened? Yesh said, just saw a black camo Cybertruck. It's bigger IRL. Yeah, it was like kind of shocking to see one in person. Brewmaster Monk said, our life expectations are shaped more by our entertainment than the real world. We're maladapted, unfulfillable, and expecting more. We want to be the hero and earn our manic pixie dream girl.
Look, it is absolutely true. There's a really common term now called main character syndrome. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Most of us just aren't going to be the main character. We're just not. That's just the way things are. The quicker we accept that, the easier it is to accept life as it is. Now, not everybody can do that, and I understand it, but you see a lot of people on social media that make absolutely insane statements, and people say they think they're the main character. Usually you're not. Usually we're not all that super most interesting, most popular person. Mm-hmm. And they're right about entertainment, because there's a reason why, think of all the women that love true crime, but then, it's like won't walk out alone at night.
Oh, they all think they're the main character who's the victim in the true crime documentary.
So so we were flying recently. I was on a plane. And I turned and I said, you know why I'm never worried about this? Because I'm not narcissistic enough to believe that I'm one of those people that's actually going to die in an interesting way. Hey, this plane isn't going down while I'm on it. My life is too boring for me to die in a plane crash.
The DEI pilot is like,
Yes.
blocks your path.
Basically. So, the point is, I maybe that's why I take such an opposite perspective. Like, I look at the idea of being a normal, uninteresting, very much middle of the road person as not a problem. That's never bothered me. Being unimpressive has never been an issue for me.
So I feel like so the main character, I think people get trapped in this idea that they're not the main character, when you should look at this is your life, this is your only shot at it, this is the path you're on, you get no other shot at it, so you should view yourself as the main character of your life and stop being the NPC for your boss. And
I think it's the egotism, though, that when somebody's got that egotistical
balance,
mind, right?
but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's okay to not be the NPC for your boss, be the main character of your story, but still be at that job. But but when you're finding the fulfillment of when you're looking at your life as, I am defined by this 9-to-5, that's when you become that NPC for that main character.
You ever seen the movie Wanted? With Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
So he works the boring 9-to-5 life. Boss treats him like a piece of shit. Ends up being an assassin who can curve a bullet. Okay, that is another thing that speaks to the innate desire to stand out. Right? Mm-hmm. There is nothing so common as the desire to be extraordinary.
If you just find whatever you want out of your life, and it doesn't have to be in front of a camera, but just having that fulfillment in your life that's outside the 9-to-5. I think so many times people just get trapped in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Andrew Shot, I believe that's how I say it. Sorry if I did that wrong. Big fan of Tony. Actually found him from this show last time he came on and became a member of the Confessionals. One of my favorite stories from the show was from someone really close to me.
Who was
cliffhanger?
Do you know?
I know.
Who was that?
Do you know who?
Can you tell me who that was?
I guess don't dox that person, whatever.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, Mary, that super chat that you refused to read was for educational purposes. I'm trying to learn more about women. Not everything is lewd or lascivious.
Lascivious.
What was it?
Well, I'm not going to read it, so you're never going to know.
I thought it was Cody Bedreau said that. I'm like, your track record's against you, bro. Sorry. Like,
Both of you are on watch.
I thought at first somebody was talking trash at me, and you're just trying to shield me from it. She's like, no, that's what
it's usually
it was.
because people are vulgar. They need to have good manners. Dreamcast Knight said, Hollywood is reenacting the plot to Sleepaway Camp. So in a few years, if a few of them end up being serial killers, I'm looking at you, Megan Fox.
Megan Fox will never end up being a serial killer. She is far like.
Well, she definitely thinks of herself that way.
No, in an edgy like teenage girl sort of way. It's the girl version of like a guy posting the characters from Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, for girls, they post Jennifer Check videos.
Yeah, she's a Sigma for girls.
Corey Anderson said, you didn't leave the weed, did you?
I saw the weed get picked up in the documentary. Where that weed went, I have no idea. But
are we gonna just like no comment?
No, we did leave it there. We did leave it there.
Of course.
Responsible adults here.
Well, the police kept it.
Yeah.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, Sleepaway Camp, one of my fave slasher films. If you know, you know. Have you guys seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Brewmaster Monk said, have y'all read Terry Pratchett's The Long Earth? He hypothesized that Bigfoot can move between parallel worlds. I think they live underground or are a psyop to keep people out of the deep woods.
Well, we just covered all that in the show, didn't we? We didn't go to the
Not the underground part.
I can go there.
Why would you keep them out of the deep woods? Is that the government saying for your own
so
safety?
They can keep being like Hub's life, doing the 9 to 5 work week.
What if the deep woods are home to most of the underground bases we have, and they use Bigfoot to guard the entrances? I'm just saying.
Like, okay, so that's where, not that long ago, there was all those stories coming out about how Zuckerberg and all the billionaires are building they're all building their underground, their billionaire bunkers for the end of the world. Maybe they're using Bigfoot to keep you out of their, where their bunkers are going to go.
All right, so I know it's going to be crazy, but I'm going to just go there. When I moved to East Tennessee, I got to know some of the local farmers, and I was talking to one of the guys, about 40. He said when he was a kid coming up, the old timers were talking about how in East Tennessee, there's the Oak Ridge, which is where they built the nuclear bomb for World War II, and it's known as a secret city. They built it. Nobody knew they were building it. He said that...
That's the secret part.
Yeah.
He was told that when he was a kid growing up, they told him that when they were building that, at the same time, they didn't know they were building at the time, but they started seeing these Bigfoot creatures running around the area. And so people talk about, maybe it's my theory, I don't know, but people say that maybe there's a correlation between the Bigfoot creature and this government facility being put in secret to keep them away.
I like it.
Crickets.
To trap them?
To trap what?
To trap the Bigfoots?
No, so the two thoughts are this. One,
to keep the public away from that general area.
So unleash the Bigfoot. or maybe they were already in the area when they started the construction, they pushed them out, and that's when people started seeing them.
But think of how much money there could be made off of Bigfoot and the discovery of Bigfoot. So I feel like, if someone did discover it, would they have not gone for that profit? I just feel like if the opportunity had been there at some point, it would have been taken advantage of already.
So there's been cases of that though, and it just gets pushed under the carpet. And then there's other things so I have a video. I wish I would have thought to bring. I just didn't think I don't know why I didn't think the conversation would go this way, but I have a video of a broad daylight sighting of a Bigfoot. And I don't know what it is. It was a very far distance. But it was something very large and gray. It was taken on a cell phone camera from a guy in his car. I'm assuming his wife was with him. and they saw it across the field. And they started shooting video of it, and it's very shaky. They zoomed in, but I was able to stabilize it to really show what is going on here. Whether it's a Bigfoot or not is, I guess, irrelevant to what happened in the video, because you see something very large, completely gray, walking upright across a tree line. And okay, you could say maybe it's a hunter in a ghillie suit, right? Yeah. And then it gets down on all four and runs off. And when that happens, like you hear the guy go, "What the?" And that's where the video ends because he put his phone down. But I was able to stabilize it so you can actually see it drop down on all four and run away. That's a broad daylight sighting, but like it doesn't matter, because if I showed it to you, you're gonna still not believe in Bigfoot. And
There's a reason. And Mitch Hedberg solved this years ago.
I think Bigfoot is blurry. That's the problem.
That's what it is.
It's not the photographer's fault. Bigfoot is blurry, and that's extra scary to me because there's a large out-of-focus monster roaming the countryside.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
Well, so if Bigfoot's real, we should kill it, right?
I think so. He doesn't.
No.
When we go
I
out
think we should
there,
kill it and display it somewhere.
That's my goal. Like, that's literally my goal. If it's out there.
You're a Bigfoot poacher.
Yeah.
This is how you're going to sabotage each other.
And this is why I will get to see it, and he'll never see it, because it'll know that I'm not trying to actually kill it.
Because you're bringing those bad vibes.
Right.
Yes.
The only reason I would ever shoot something is if it's attacking me in that particular
You got to kill it to take it down to show it to the whole world, man. That's why I carry a 10 millimeter when I go
I'm just
out in the woods.
I'm not like you, though. I don't think they're all aggressive like that.
Think of the money that could be made open your Bigfoot burger restaurant.
Would you sample?
Yeah.
I would sample. I would sample.
I think so.
Would you? No, you wouldn't. Of course, you wouldn't even kill it.
I'm not saying no. I'm just.
I mean,
okay. There's no way that I
ethically farmed
Bigfoot nuggets.
BBBQ.
I don't know if I could turn down the opportunity to try
Bigfoot
a
brisket.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like a big thing.
I would try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep going.
Okay, Rhaegar Targaryen said, Goonie Goo Goo, shout out Eddie Murphy, Delirious, a classic Bigfoot story.
Oh, we should. We couldn't play that because that's copyrighted.
Corey Anderson said, we need to address the elephant in the room. Have you interviewed anyone claiming to have had relations with the big feet or want to have relations?
Was that Cody Bedreau?
No, it was Corey Anderson.
Oh, okay. One of the two.
Well, you had the one guy.
So there is somebody who's
so it happened.
Remind me.
Is it true?
Wasn't it at 500?
Oh yeah. I talk to so many people I forget who I'm talking to half the time. Yeah, episode 500. I think I called it Killing Sasquatch. The guy from Michigan.
Yeah.
So it's a very long story, but basically there was like a family of these things, and there was a juvenile that he and I think another friend would play with, and they were in a barn, and he was in the barn playing with this juvenile, and it turned sexual. And I'm telling you, that's what he not him willing though.
What?
Yeah, it pulled his clothes off, and
what did?
The Bigfoot.
And it like raped him?
I don't think it got that far, but it was getting there. It was clear that was the intent. And he
escaped.
He escaped because the mother Bigfoot came in, but then this thing ran off and wound up breaking into the neighbor's house where the family was, and the family shot and killed it. And that's when there was this big cleanup effort that came in on the whole thing. It happened back in the 70s, I think it was.
Yeah.
Me Too'd by Bigfoot.
Mary, right. you just gotta listen to my show. You'll become a believer, I swear. She's like, actually, I think it'll go the opposite way.
Well, Corey Anderson, there's your answer.
That's not the only story.
Guys, let's get that third crisis party. We're almost there. Let's get there.
Let's do it.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, I want to believe.
Yes. See, you guys got to just watch the X-Files and Fringe. That's what you.
Fringe was a really good show.
Fringe was really, really good.
Yeah.
Especially if you like the idea of parallel dimensions.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff.
I'll tell you what, the Fringe, you remember how they used to flash those little the symbols?
Yeah.
The handprint symbol was the inspiration for my logo for my show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Like they all spell out a word. If you follow all the glyphs, it spells out a word for each episode. I never had the patience to actually do that. I would just go to IMDb to look and see what it spelled out.
Yeah. That show was like that was my jam back in the day.
It's up there. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
If for like especially if you're talking about alternate dimensions and you get like their doppelgangers, which are always like these great alternate versions of their characters. It's a great example in Subtlety where it's like the character of Astrid in the regular world is very much a by-the-book professional. She's warm and inviting and friendly to everyone around her. But then the Astrid in the alternate timeline is very much like on the spectrum, but they never say on the spectrum, but she won't make eye contact with anyone. She asks questions kind of unabashedly that you probably just wouldn't ask someone. Yeah. But it was a great example, whereas like now that would be done so ham-fisted that they wouldn't be able to do that. But you just know those actors had a really good time playing their alternate versions.
Absolutely.
Like,
it was more fun back then.
Yeah, like the Olivia character is very, very like stoic. But then the other one version is almost kind of like a honey trap in a way, and she's very warm. She smiles a lot, which the other character doesn't do at all. It's great. It's great storytelling.
Adolfo Batista said Lego Movie did Chosen One message pretty good.
I didn't see the Lego Movie.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said the PCC 600 video will be up tomorrow morning. I'll have the top 8 out either tomorrow night or Sunday before Mass.
Okay, well,
you work hard for us.
He does. And guys, yes, episode 600 is on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We should have mentioned that yesterday, did we?
I don't know if we mentioned it yesterday, but we should have mentioned.
Long stream on Monday for 600.
Yes, guys, we will be on the air from 1 to 5 rather than 3 to 5 on Monday. So set your clocks, set your alarms so that you can come in, join us early. We'll
take
try
the day off work.
Yeah, just don't go to work, but super chat us.
Yeah.
Like, no. We'll hopefully send out a community tab post the night or the morning of to get you guys a notification. I will post it out. We should post it on social media that we will be starting earlier that day, but we're going to have multiple guests come in, you know, like everyone can kind of come and go as they please. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Bookstore Thor said Bigfoot malicious and delicious.
Absolutely.
We already have the branding.
That's my motto. I live by it.
All right. Before we go, guys, you guys should start some stuff out. So what do you got going on?
Yeah. So again, May 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're doing our live premiere of Sasquatch and Sasquatch and the Missing Man. I almost did Shape of Shadows, a previous documentary. If you want tickets to that live premiere, you can just go to moment.co/Sasquatch. You can get the tickets there and watch it there. Where's what?
Where is it taking place, the live premiere?
It's going to be digital, so people can just be at home. Okay. We thought about doing theater premieres, but we're saving that for another project. Okay. But then later this year, we're coming out with our first actual feature film called The Sasquologist, where it's about Sasquatch. But if anybody really knows the Patterson Gimlin film from 1967, it's the most famous Bigfoot video, the old footage from the thing walking the creek. The storyline is that the offspring of that creature migrated to the Colorado Rockies, and that there is a retired professor that's a biologist, and he's trying to track these things down. And it's a comedy movie. It's there's certain points that you might actually get a tear or two, but fantastic acting, fantastic production value.
What if he played for the Colorado Rockies?
Hey, home run city.
Next movie.
They are athletic.
Yeah.
So
let's go.
But
Go ahead. And social media.
Oh yeah, so you can. I really hang out on Instagram a lot personally. My personal account is Tony Merkel Official. Joel handles all my other social media, so you can just find me there.
Yeah, pretty much everything I do with Tony. So I do all the films with Tony. We travel around. I do a new podcast coming out under Merkel Media here pretty soon called Free the Rabbits. I'm gonna delve into a lot of conspiratorial stuff, but at the same time encourage people not to live in the rabbit hole. That's kind of my whole point here, because a lot of these conspiratorial podcasts,
ethical rabbit hole.
I really want to, because that's kind of my shtick. That's what I like to do. I love doing deep dives on topics and being able to present them to people, but at the same time say, hey man, walk away, go kiss your wife, like enjoy life, play with your kids. So I think that's important. Also a musician too, and I put out music with all the films. I got a new song that just came out today called Missing. Yeah. Play it into the whole Missing Man. Yeah. You can check that out too. You can find me on any social media site. Just type in Joel Thomas in any of the Apple Music, Spotify. If you're looking for any of my stuff, though, just go to Linktree/Joel Thomas Media, or just type Joel Thomas Media into any platform and it'll pop up.
It's all in the description, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
All right. And again, I just want to remind everyone, Monday is episode 600. So we will be here from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Phil will be here. Dane will be here. Sarah will be here. Other people will be here. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to tune in for that. We want to see y'all there because we wouldn't be here if you guys didn't come and check out this podcast. So thank you guys all for that very much. And if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you prefer to listen rather than watch this show, if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because both we and they will be banned soon at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back.
Just one more super chat
Go for
from Rhaegar Targaryen. Remember Harry and the Hendersons?
I didn't watch it.
Didn't
What?
watch it either, I
No.
think.
Never?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Uncultured.
I remember that.
Uncultured swine.
You're an uncultured swine.
that was my introduction to believing in Bigfoot. I was like, look how real that looks.
Guys, guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday for episode 600. See you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.